Hello, everybody, and welcome to LUTI tonight. It is Sunday night, the last week of week 3 of LUTI. It is January 8th, and we have a triple header coming your way. First up, we have Day Old Tofu versus Bash, followed by InkSync versus The Grillers, and then capping off the night will be Spark Cerulean versus Color Your Melody. So to start off our first set, we are going to toss it over to Saf and Toma. Both of you take it away.
Howdy-o, sports fans! Super excited to be here. Day-Old Tofu and Bash. It's a beautiful evening here on LUTI tonight, and we're heading into Scorch Gorge on Clan Blitz. Toma, how you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here with everybody tonight. I'm super excited to see the face-off between these two teams, Day Old Tofu and Bash. I think it's going to be a great set we've got here tonight.
Looking forward to it. We're getting all set up in the lobby, getting settled in, ready to go, heading on down to Scorch Gorge, and we're getting started right away. Let's go, folks. I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed again, Toma. I'm once again jazzed.
Super excited. Let's see. We got the Hydra coming out on the side of Day Old Tofu with a blaster, range blaster, specifically Splash and Octobrush. And then we're going to see a mirror of that Octobrush, a machine, the shot, and the Splat Charger on the side of Color Your Melody. Going to be an interesting matchup, I think, especially for the backlines. Hydra, of course, in this meta, not doing so famously well against Chargers, but with Scorch Gorge, I think that having those great, the Splatlings can walk across, as well as some cover in mid behind this big tower, will give it some interesting ground to play around.
I'm really interested in this backline Charger player, especially because they're not using a scope, and I feel like that's just not something that you really see very often. But just looking ahead here, we already got 2 balls on the field on the side of Bash. There's a lot of purple going on in mid, so Bash is doing a really good job of maintaining mid, kind of trying to look for that opening, peering in, and trying to see where they can kind of break in. But it seems like Day Old Tofu, with the Booyah coming out, is doing also a really good job of playing some good defense and actually almost maintaining half of mid, getting the pillar as well, not really the sides, but the top, and then kind of looking in to see if we can get rid of this ball player.
They sure are, and this blaster is doing what blasters do best, as they have 3 down on the side of Bash, and it looks like Day Old Tofu is going to push into their elbow here and may be able to make a push here. You see the Crab has 7 clams here, and they're going to get that Octobrush, and we may see 1 clam go to the power here, and if they can get this in, that's going to be a good opening lead for Day Old Tofu, as they're going to be able to rush forward here, and they do get it in. They get 3 down on the side of Bash again. They're going to be able to go back into to mid and be able to find more clams to try to push forward and get a little bit more of a lead.
Yeah, and it looks like the Octobrush on the side of Day Old Tofu was able to find a really nice pick there, just right off of the respawn. And we have Zion coming in with a few more clams in hand, getting them in the basket, down to the 50s, almost down to below the 50s. We're at a 53 with this push, with the basket about to close. And we do see that Bullkelp is rushing to get some clams as well, but it seems that Bash is now on the respawn. And a 53-point push with a 23-point penalty. Nothing to scoff at. There's definitely plenty of time in this game. We still have about 3 minutes left on the clock, and 1 down on each side, so it's still anybody's game here.
Absolutely a great opening push. These are the kinds of opening pushes you want to see. I think a lot of teams struggle with going and maybe dunking a power and then just walking away with that 80 points plus 10-point penalty that can just be easily removed by a team that comes in with a power clam plus 1 clam. So Day Old Tofu was really able to get the opening that they needed there at the beginning to get a lead.
You're seeing now 2 members are down on the side of Bash with a Zipcaster flying around and almost going into the Booyah Bomb, but there's another power clam in on the side of Day Old Tofu, and you could see there's so much purple in front of that basket, so I think I just blinked and I didn't get to see how that clam was able to make it in there, unfortunately only making a solo pop and only getting a little bit of that penalty chipped away. Bash doing, again, an excellent job of playing defense and getting enough ink down on the field where it counts.
They sure do. They were able to stop that from getting into a worse situation. And now, of course, with all this ink in the middle of the field, they're able to take a little more space and start gathering some clams to make a push of their own. But, ooh, they go down to the range blaster there, and this Octobrush looks like they're taking another good pick. So we may see, are we going to get a third? We get a wipeout on the side of Bash, and that's going to let Day Old Tofu be able to push in here. And they have a lot of clams built up. because they're going to be able to push this even further. A Crab coming out and a Booyah Bomb. We're seeing excellent pressure from Day Old Tofu as they're able to push in here into the base and make another push. They're 3 down again as they're just in another wipeout. They're really able to stagger here, and there's only 13 points left on the board. They have the clams. Will they be able to dunk it? And they do for the first game knockout.
Day Old Tofu was able to just keep on getting that clam economy up. They were really able to not only break in the basket, but able to break back out into mid and go and find those clam spawns as quick as possible and to just jump right back into that basket, right into the pocket, and be able to get more of those clams in there and popping the basket, I believe, three times during this game, with no points on the side of Bash able to pop that basket, unfortunately. But we're moving on to the second game here in a little bit, and it's still anybody's set, but Day Old Tofu taking the first win.
Yes, we see here on this replay this excellent wipeout right there as they're able to just get all these clams coordinated well together, tossing them forward to their teammates. You see as the others go back to gather up more, and they pop this right here I think is so beautiful. This Booyah and this Crab working together in tandem to get another 2 picks so that they can just be able to move forward into the base, clear out space, and make more room for their other teammates to come back in after gathering more clams and lead. This type of teamwork is definitely what you see from Day Old Tofu as they're able to come in and get the KO here because of their well-coordinated push.
Yeah, you can tell too that Bash there, you could see that the Charger was kind of trying to position up on that box with the pillar and the basket on top. They were trying to kind of get a position and get into position and maybe push some people out of that corner, and were just unfortunately unable to really get comfortable there. Though Octobrush was making it really hard for them to get comfortable and for them to find picks, which is exactly what you'd want to expect from an Octobrush if you're going to play a little more aggressively.
They sure are, especially with a special like Zipcaster. Octobrush is really able to get into the face of backlines and get them to move and make your leaders, your Chargers, Hydras move and not be able to set up and defend when you need them to.
But moving on, next we're going down to the museum. We're going on a tour at the museum and we're playing Tower Control here. Crucial game. Especially that second checkpoint. Second checkpoint is so crucial in order to really progress a lot further, just because once you can get it past that second checkpoint and you can make sure to maintain that platform as you're moving, it can really make or break a good push in this one.
Sure can. And with these backlines coming out, I'm wondering if we're going to see that Splat Charger switch on to a more conventional E-Leader here, as E-Leader is known to kind of rule this stage here, as it can reach from your platform all the way onto the opponent platform and really just have great sight lines across mid and spinner. And if we see that Hydra come back out from Day Old Tofu, how that matchup will go. Obviously, Day Old Tofu taking the win in the first set, despite the Hydra maybe being at a disadvantage. I think that just speaks to Volkelp's great ability with that weapon.
Yeah, agreed. And I want to say, too, I feel like our backlines here on each team are really just having a hard time with finding a good setup and finding a good spot to kind of post up a little bit, because both Octobrushes were playing pretty aggressively and finding those backlines right away, as well as other picks. So mobile and able to just find the pick at the right time. We have a scoped splatter scope coming out, and we do see the E-Leader coming out to play on the side of Bash.
We sure do. Very interesting matchup there. Obviously, the E-Leader does outrange the scope, but the scope being able to provide a vac, which I think is really important for trying to get through those checkpoints, that could be a really crucial point of play for Day Old Tofu here.
Yeah, and it looks like already we see that Day Old Tofu are going to pop that Crab out right away. But we also see Tri Ink Strike rearing its ugly head here, trying to just kind of get some ink going. And we do actually see a Tacticooler on the side of Bash. I'm really interested to see what we're going to kind of try to do with that, what we're cooking here with that.
So am I. Tacticooler is not a special we see come out often, but they're really able to use the mobility here, using that Squid Surge and movement ability to push up into the enemy base, as they also put a Tri-Strike onto this platform, just moving everyone around. We see the scope going over to the side, trying to set up. They're seen by the leader. They get the leader, but in that push there, unless, they're going to get back on the tower, pushing it a little bit further. They really want to get through this checkpoint here. You got a vac coming out onto the tower, but it doesn't get a pick.
Yeah, and it looks like their Bash was really applying a lot of pressure, and now they are 3 down, and the tower is only going to make it to 53, just almost barely starting to break that second checkpoint. And we see that Day-Old Tofu is now coming back out into mid, kind of throwing some paint down, seeing how quickly they can get the tower moving, but now the tower is back in mid with nobody on top of it.
It sure is. Both teams are going to kind of go back into the neutral game here, fishing around mid, trying to get a pick. We see 2 down on the side of Bash. And it looks like this leader dropped, I believe. They are. It looks like they're going to retreat back to their plat. And they're back on the tower for Bash, trying to see if they can make this push even further than they did before.
Yeah, that was a really good pick, too, by the sloshing machine we got to see there. And another pick on the side of Day-Old Tofu. But we see that the scope is now posted up on, or the leader, excuse me, is now posted up on the tower. And we're making our way to that second checkpoint. But Crab is not going to make it easy for them, making Ash have to kind of retreat and get off that tower with only 5 seconds remaining. But we see that the tower is now lost with just a little bit more to break that checkpoint, but we're still not going to go down without a fight. We're still going to keep that tower close to that checkpoint with the leader applying pressure from the spinner, which is a good position for them to be in.
It sure is, and it looks like they're going to try to dance the tower around here, but they end up going down. Oh, they actually take it. My bad. They get through that second checkpoint. That is going to be huge for Bash, as once they get to that point again, they'll be able to just start scoring immediately and won't have to wait it out again.
Yeah, and especially Bash can kind of, if they wanted to, there's still 2 minutes left in the game. It's definitely still anybody's game, but Bash can definitely play a little more defensively. They can be kind of more comfortable and really utilize this plat for themselves, and especially having that E-leader and having that range. So being able to really maintain this plat and kind of make sure that they can hold Day-Old Tofu back and not really get that a lot of that paint on there, especially keeping that Crab off with the Tri-Ink Strike, which was an excellent move, I think. And still finding a pick right before it broke.
Oh my gosh, I think those 2 picks coming out from the E-leader there, as they're really able to apply that pressure. They have just so much range on this map, being able to stare down everybody from across mid. They're going to be kind of fishing around here, but they're going to get pressured by this Splash. The Splash finds a pick, and they're going to try to flank around, get this Booyah, and they do get the Booyah. That is a great pick right there. 3 down on the side of Bash, as Day-Old Tofu now is going to want to hop on this tower, start moving forward and getting members into their plat, pushing them back so that they can take that second checkpoint as well.
We're making our way to checkpoint number 1 on Day-Old Tofu. This is going to be a really crucial push for them, and especially trying to utilize that soft wipe as best as they can. And we see a trade happen on the plat. We see the machine trying to apply some pressure on the tower. Bulk help going down with the sniper, or looking at the tower, keeping that line on there, just kind of making sure that they can't really move it that far. 53 is nothing to scoff at. That's kind of where Bash was kind of sitting before in the first 4 minutes of the game. And so I think if Day-Old Tofu is really going to make a push, then this is going to be it with 44 seconds left on the clock.
I believe so too. The machine here right now, this fight is going to be pretty vital. They actually get looks like a assist on there from their friend. They got the Crab coming out as well. Day-Old Tofu really needs to get another member on the tower here. They're all bunched up with the tent attack shooting at them. The one goes down, and it looks like the others are more forward in their plat. Turns around, gets the snipe. 2 down on the side of Bash. Day-Old Tofu really needs to take this chance to get through that checkpoint, but the tower is moving backwards. They got to jump onto it, but it looks like they are just getting kind of pressured out right now by the combination of this Splash as they go down. 6 seconds left. This Splash needs to get on here and really make something happen for Day-Old Tofu, but it doesn't look like they're going to get the... Oh, they do! Oh, so close. There was so much action right there, right back and forth on the tower. We love to see as Day-Old Tofu was really trying to rush there at the last second, not wanting to give up that push, reminding Bash, hey, we aren't out of this game yet. But of course, Bash coming back and saying, no, we're going to take game 2 and take this set to 1-1.
Yeah, Bash was doing such a good job of playing defensively on their plat. Once they got that 41 points, they were able to kind of hold back, and the leader was able to kind of get a good setup. And you have the front lines kind of coming out. That Tri-Strike was coming out at the right time to kind of clear the tower. But nonetheless, if we can see on the replay here, you can see that the sloshing machine is going ahead and trying to apply some pressure there. You have 2 members of Day-Old Tofu trying to get on the tower, with both of them going down. Unfortunately, this blaster getting pincered by 2 members of Bash in mid. And then we see Stealth Jump come into action here. From somewhere, that something was cooking here on the side of Day-Old Tofu, because we see not one member flying in, bulk help landing right on the top. The machine also trying to make a push here, but unfortunately to no avail. And we are tied up in this set.
We sure are. That was a fantastic game. So close, back and forth between the two. Really tense moments as both teams really got to shine there and show that they are, worthy to win this set.
Yeah, and you could see too, like kind of near the end, like that tower was moving every which way, forwards, backwards, sideways, just trying to make its way to that second checkpoint. But there was definitely quite the bloodbath happening on that second checkpoint on the plat of Bash. But moving on over, we're going to Undertow Spillway and we're playing Rainmaker here. Toma, what do you think about this one?
Oh, I think this is going to be a very interesting one for sure. Undertow, while quite the controversial map, I would say, in the community, I think that Rainmaker is an excellent mode on it. I think it gives great opportunities for your pushes. If you get a wipeout, you can make a fast rush to the right side of your enemy base, getting that dunk and going up the uninkable ramp, but also allowing for a little bit of safer play, going the left side, being able to use that wall and the grates to be able to block fire from the enemies and make a little bit slower but safer push.
Yeah, and it definitely on that left side, it can make it a little more complicated as well because there's just a lot more places to hide. There's a lot more places to kind of shark and flank. And if we throw it back to a couple days ago where we saw the Cherry Limeade set here, we did see a little sneaky play. We saw a little sneaky play by Lily, and she was able to break through and get the points that Cherry Limeade needed to win the round on this one. So it's definitely a good one for sure for making a sneaky play if you know what you're doing.
Yes, it sure can be. Very excited to see what comes out here from both teams. Obviously, with such fast-paced comps that we've seen from some of them, being able to rush down and get their opponents, and the multiple wipeouts that we've seen traded back and forth between the two teams, I think this could be a very high-scoring game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think it can be so crucial too to get to try to break that first checkpoint, and especially if both teams once both teams break that first checkpoint, then it becomes Splatoon 2 Rainmaker. You just got to take it to the end. And sometimes the game can come down to that, and it's just a nail biter to see who is going to take it all the way.
It sure can be, just like you said in Splatoon 2. I think the checkpoints here are actually a bit of a lifesaver. I'm so glad that we see them implemented in Splatoon 3 as, one wrong wipe in Splatoon 2 and your Rainmaker run would be over. But Splatoon 3 giving a little bit more leniency, allowing teams to, get back in after a wipe. But an Undertow Spillway, once you wipe and that checkpoint's already been cleared, it can be a hard time to come back on.
I definitely agree with you there. It's a tough one to try to come back on after a wipe, and it's a tough one, I think, too, to get into a good position to rebuttal a wipe. So you have the players coming back out in from the wipe, and then it's also can be difficult to find the right positioning in order to keep the players out of the field once that wipe happens. And especially if you don't have the right comp, and sometimes even if you don't have the correct range that you might need in order to apply the right pressure, it can make it difficult. But we're going to go ahead and get started anyway. Let's see what we got here. Toma, what are we looking at?
Looks like we're going to be seeing that splatter scope come back out on the side of Dale Tofu along with a V Junior Octobrush and Splatter Shot, as well as a Splatter Shot T-Tech E-Leader and Octobrush again on the side of Bash. Both the Octobrushes come out. We saw them play super aggressively in those clam games, and I think we can expect the same here as we see the Splatter Scope get the first pick onto the leader. That is going to be a great opening pick for Dale Tofu, as it might allow them to push a little bit safer here, but Bash decided to shut that down. Now able to take position here with this Zuka, ready to try to deny, but it looks like they're getting flanked. They get the 2 picks, the 3 picks. That is such a great play for Bash. Now they're able to push up, take this space, take the Rainmaker, but they go down, actually. And it looks like, 3 down now on the side of Bash, trading positions from where they were just a few seconds ago. Dale Tofu not wasting any time picking up this Rainmaker, pushing it all the way to the left pedestal, but go down slightly short of it. Both of these teams are playing so aggressively right now, really just wanting to pick up, get kills, go in, and then Dale Tofu now 1 down or 1 up, gonna retreat, get some more space, and try to prepare for Bash to run this back in.
That you just had like a 3v3 trade. There was 3 that went down and they said, oh yeah, watch this. And then they also had 3 to go down. And unfortunately, Bash wasn't really able to utilize that sop wipe, I feel like, as much as they wanted to. They only were able to get it to the 86 point, whereas Dale Tofu was able to respawn and get it almost to that first checkpoint. And like you said, waste no time at all. But Bash is now going to come back in on the respawn. They're looking at the right side here with the Octobrush kind of coming in on the reply, but going down, unfortunately, and almost taking that checkpoint. But the leader was able, or the splatter scope, excuse me, was able to find that pick at the right time. But now we are able to break that checkpoint. So there's 1 checkpoint down on the side of Bash. Dale Tofu is going to have to pick up this Rainmaker and get it out of their area as quickly as they can, with the Inkzuka coming out to try to provide some cover. And it looks like we're going to just let it respawn, which I think is a good idea if they're able to just put the Ink down and get them out. But unfortunately, Bash is able to break in and grab that Rainmaker and just put a couple more points on that board.
That's a great play for Bash there. Of course, if you get to checkpoint and they aren't able to push it any further now, those few extra points could matter. Dale Tofu now picking up, looking to make a push of their own, but getting pressured by that Zuka, the junior, going down. 2 now down on the side of Dale Tofu with all this suction bombs and pressure taking out the Rainmaker. Bash now in a great opportunity here to be able to set up and push up further now that they have the first checkpoint down and can start really chucking those points on the board.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a lot of pressure coming from the Rainmaker. The Octobrush doing an excellent job of getting into a higher position and kind of making it, trapping the Rainmaker underneath that platform there, underneath the glass, and making sure that they can't move. But you have 1 down on each side. You have the leader kind of looking and seeing for those picks in mid. The Octobrush, again, just kind of sharking around and trying to apply some pressure on the front line of Bash. And the Rainmaker is going to be able to reset in the middle there. And I think this is Dale Tofu's time to make a push with a little less than 2 minutes on the clock.
Certainly is. They're going to really want to get past this first checkpoint here soon, because of course with the checkpoint system now, once you get that first checkpoint, you've got to drop it and you've got to pop again. So Dale Tofu gets the wipeout here. This is definitely their opportunity to push it all the way to the left and get up this podium. And it looks like they are going to be able to do it. They need to be able to keep up this pressure, get the pop here, and push it further than Bash did if they want to get the win here. But they go down slightly short and they get wiped out. This is exactly what Bash wants to happen. Now with a minute left, they just need to be able to reset this to mid and try to keep Dale Tofu from being able to wipe them again. They definitely want to, you know, not necessarily defend per se at this point in time, since a 2-point lead isn't comfortable at all. But they do want to make sure that they're going to play for their lives, because if they get a wipeout whenever, you know, Dale Tofu can now run past the Rainmaker, that's not going to work out well for them. So Bash here definitely going to want to play for their lives, but they're 3 down now. Dale Tofu's definitely going to want to utilize this opportunity to try to get points on the board and push it past, but they go down as well.
Yeah, and you can, and we, oh, I almost thought that we got like maybe 1 more point on there, but I saw a little bit earlier that Dale Tofu, or excuse me, Bash went for a trade, which I think was an appropriate trade to get, because you had a front line kind of making their way back into the base of Bash, and they were able to take the trade as it came. And I think that at this point now, with only 9 seconds remaining, I feel that Bash is probably able to do some trades and able to take some trades. We're going to try to corner ourselves into the corner with the Rainmaker, but unfortunately the Ink Vacuum was able to find the Rainmaker right away, and Bash is going to be here with grabbing the Rainmaker and taking game number 2. Wowie zowie, what a back and forth that one was.
That one sure was, only coming down to a difference of 2 points. Both teams really showing that they're got the power to go up against each other. We're not seeing any sort of like stomps happening here. Both teams are really being able to reply with force to each push.
Yeah, and it was literally like a tit for tat match. Like as soon as Dale Tofu got the wipe, Bash came back and got the soft wipe, and then they were able to break the first checkpoint, and then they came back and then did the first checkpoint. It was literally just them mirroring each other the entire match. And on the replay here, you see right near at the end, you saw that the scope was trying to find the pick at the right time. You had the Ink Zuka coming out and applying pressure, and the Ink Vac as well. But unfortunately, the Rainmaker getting picked up and getting blasted by the Ink Vacuum. But all 3 members of Bash were able to be there on the respawn and pop that shield right away and just pick it right back up.
They sure were. What a fantastic game there. Bash knowing very well what they needed to do in those last seconds to keep their game alive, and they are able to do so. Looks like we're going to be going now into round or game 4, which is going to be Splat Zones on Mako Mart, which I think is going to be a very interesting match for these two, especially considering looking at these Octo Brushes and these very aggressive comps that they're running, being able to utilize the walls and the sides of Mako Mart to get flanks, go around the enemy, and just really be very aggressive and in their face. It's going to be a really good map for both teams' comps.
What would you say is your favorite call out on this map? Because this one, to me, has some of the most fun call outs, like breakfast.
I love
melons.
breakfast and melons. I was going to say,
Yeah.
I don't know what the standardized call outs are, but my team uses breakfast and melons, and I think that they're really funny.
I agree. I think maybe I'm a little normie for saying this, but I really like stacks as a call out. And it's so versatile, and it's in other maps as well. And I don't know why. I like stacks. I like calling out people on stacks.
The funny call outs are the best, I think. There's good ones. I think my favorite is Banana on Wahoo World. Just the little curved wall that my team used.
I had no idea that that's what that was called. That's hilarious.
I don't think it's official, but it's what transients use.
Oh, I see a Brella. Do my eyes deceive me? I
Oh.
see a tent and an E-liter. What is going on here? Day old tofu. What are we cooking?
That is not something I was expecting to see coming out. Brella is definitely unconventional pick, but I think one that could be really good here, as he can use that shield to not only push forward and paint the zone, but be able to protect itself as well. As we do see Day Old Tofu able to take initial 3 down and start their attack on this zone.
And we have members of Bash coming back in on the respawn. I wonder if they were maybe as confused as we were. We gotta wonder what's happening in that voice chat that these were the comps that we ended up picking. We see a crab fight happening, but unfortunately Day Old Tofu's time ran out there. But an Ink Vacuum applying pressure in mid with one member each on sides on both teams coming down. But Day Old Tofu's doing a great job of maintaining the zone. I gotta tell you, I had some doubt there with the tent and the leader coming in. I had some doubt with like how they were gonna like let that one fly, but there's a lot of ink on the side of Day Old Tofu actually. But we see the turnover happening with Bash now getting down to the 80-point mark, doing a good job. 2 members down on the side of Day Old Tofu and applying as much pressure as they can to kind of keep that Brella out. It seemed that Brella was applying a lot of pressure and having painting like almost half the zone with just one canopy coming off.
It sure was, and Mako Mart, of course, being one of those maps where like a lead isn't necessarily comfortable, because if you can lock out a team on this stage, you can make that lead evaporate. As we see Bash was able to take it all the way to 48, almost taking the lead there, but Day Old Tofu being able to take zone back just in time to hold on to their lead, and is now going to be wanting to push through these penalty points to be able to extend that further.
Yeah, we see Wavebreaker out on the side of Bash in the zone there. That they're going to take back control here with 3 members of Day Old Tofu going down, but still 3 members of Day Old Tofu going down. Bash now in taking down their penalty as quickly as they can. They definitely have the inking power over Day Old Tofu, but Day Old Tofu is maintaining the lead. The Brella's been applying a lot of pressure, like almost some frontline pressure, and I think that the front lines on the side of Bash are kind of having a hard time dealing with it. They're having a hard time breaking that shield and kind of catching the Brella. Well, I say that as the Brella goes down right there. They're having some difficulty finding the Brella, and we see 2 wave breakers, not 1, but 2 wave breakers on the side of Day Old Tofu, just bouncing around in that zone and just looking for those, helping look for those picks.
We sure do, and Day Old Tofu was able to take that zone back just in time to defend their lead. A 6 count on the penalty on the board now. They're looking like they're going to be able to extend this lead even further. I think one of the great things about this 10 umbrella too, as you're saying, is that they're not quite sure how to deal with it. And I think that's one of the great things that we see out of these, lower level Div 8 teams, Div 9 teams, is that they'll try out things that aren't necessarily meta or that aren't really known to other teams. And it may be a lot harder for teams to be able to respond to that when they don't quite know the matchup that well.
Oh, that was a really good play by Zion there. We saw that Bullkelp was kind of having some trouble and getting a lot of pressure from the splash, and Zion was able to respond and actually protect their E-leader player. Again, you have to wonder what's going, like you can tell what's going on in that voice chat. You have to wonder like what kind of callouts were being made in order for that, for Zion to react that quickly and able to protect their teammate.
You sure do. It's a fantastic play as well. Being able to protect your leader, you know, having a back lineup is so vital to being able to hold space. We see actually now here this Crab, the Crab actually getting a kill. I think it looked by rolling over the opponent. As Bash is now able to push in, they're all going to try to gang up on this 10 umbrella, but they're really using their movement, trying to get out of there. I think it looks like they might be able to save themselves. And they're going up on the side here. It looks like they were able to escape that situation. The Wavebreaker now coming in as Dale Tofu's going to try to make a push here to stop this count and keep their lead as it's ticking down for Bash.
Yeah, and I think just in the corner there a couple seconds ago, the Tent Umbrella was going for the flank. But Bash was able to shut that down as quick as possible, and I think it was a good play by them that they were able to shut that down. But we still see that Dale Tofu is maintaining their lead here, able to maintain their lead and able to maintain pressure just kind of around mid and kind of where around the zone is. I feel that Bash is just having a little bit of trouble like dealing with this more aggressive Tent Umbrella. It's difficult to break that shield, and now we see that there's only 5 points left for Dale Tofu, but Bash is gonna they're not out of this game yet, and we're gonna be going into overtime in the next 5 seconds.
For sure, reminding Dale Tofu that they're not out of this game as they push that into overtime. But it looks like they're going to go down to the Crab here, and with specials popping out on the side of Dale Tofu, they are able to recap this zone and secure their victory, pushing the set to 2-2 now, keeping things tied up. Each team, just like these games, so back and forth. It looks like the set is doing the same, bouncing 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 2-2 now.
Yeah, we're playing ping pong here tonight. Only on LUTI tonight, folks. We're here playing ping pong.
We sure are. That was a fantastic game from both sides. Now we're going to be moving into Clam Blitz on Brinewater Springs, one of our newest maps added on the chill season. We're going to watch a replay here. Up until the last second, this Crab and this leader desperately trying to paint the zone for Bash, and they're able to get it. But this Blaster plus this Crab Umbrella just applying excellent pressure, trying to get control of the zone and being able to secure this win here. As you can see, the Crab pushing in, the Blaster goes down, but this Tent comes out, popping their Umbrella shield, getting paint onto the zone, and then vacking to protect their Crab, which is painting the zone. An excellent combination of specials we see there.
But you gotta feel good if you're Zion right there in that last bit of the replay, getting that double right as the zone goes back into turnover, just getting that double right at the end, seeing those names fly up on the screen. That's gotta feel good. And I agree with you, that was a really good play on the side of Dale Tofu. As soon as the Brella was kind of able to get in there and get a little bit of ink going, the Crab was able to come in and move its way up, almost able to save the Blaster there, and the Brella was able to pop their vacuum at the right time, and just kind of making sure that they were able to keep the Crab alive, and that so that nobody on the side of Bash was able to even like utilize Object Shredder if they had it. So that was definitely a good play by the Tent. I don't know, man. I've already said it a couple times. I think for me that game, the Tent was the MVP there. Just you never expect a flanking Tent Umbrella. You just don't. You don't see that.
You sure do not, and that we saw some excellent plays. I think especially in splat zones, having that longer zone that Tent was able to shoot its Umbrella shield down while painting and then just applying additional pressure on the other side or being able to vac was so useful for Dale Tofu there.
I agree. But as we said before, this set is still up for grabs. It's up for anybody. We've gone 4 games and we're heading into game 5 with Brinewater Clams. Dale Tofu was able to take the first set within the Clams game on Scorch Gorge. And I'm wondering what we're going to see here, because they definitely had the better frontline pressure going on, and was able to displace the backline for Bash. The unscoped splatter scope was able to really displace that backline, and they were not really able to find the picks that they were looking for. And so I'm interested to see if we're going to keep holding on to that E-leader and maybe keep holding on to that splatter scope going in here.
We sure will. And with Brandwater Springs being one of our newest maps added in the chill season, I'm not sure how much time both teams have been able to find practice on this map, so it may be a little bit of new territory for both sides. But with the way that this map is structured, it's got an interesting dynamic, I think, where the leader is able to reach all the way across mid onto the opponent's snipe, but also with that snipe being so low to the ground, those brushes and those blasters may be able to pester the backlines to be where they won't be able to step up and utilize their full range.
Let's see, what do we got here? We have the Hydra coming back and the tent! The tent is staying in the game! You love to see it. I'm here for this tent.
I sure am too. I am very interested to see how they're going to push with it on Clam Blitz. I think that Brella shield, especially going up to basket, could provide a great utility for the team to be able to push forward. But right now we're going to see them both opening up, just trying to look for these picks so that they can move forward. Brandwater, of course, is such a small map that once you have picks down, it's really easy to be able to move on into the enemy base and start getting even more picks. As the first one goes down on the side of Bash, you can see that already Dale Tufu is pushing up aggressive, ready to get into their base, forced to back off a little bit by this Flingza dropping their ball here, but it looks like the tent might be able to make a play to save it. Yes, utilizing that shield to be able to just pick up the clam and then back up to safety.
Yeah, this tent has a lot of mobility, and especially with the ink that's going to be put down by Zion, the splash player, and put down by the junior player. There's a lot of ink to be put down, and so the tent is able to be a lot more mobile, and I feel like their mobility was heavily utilized on Makamar, and we're just seeing it here that it's going to be heavily utilized here. But the clam economy, unfortunately not on the side of Dale Tofu. Bash with 20 clams in their possession, really just looking to try to make a play here and kind of bust in like where they can. But Dale Tofu's doing a really good job. Oh, that was a nice pick though. A double pick at that on the side of Bash. Still looking to make that play, still looking to break in there, but the tent Brella is going to make it difficult.
They sure are, and Bash now, after losing all those clams, is going to want to try to be able to build up a little more paint in mid. As you can see, it's very, very blue right now here as Dale Tofu has come back in and taken up all this space. And now they're equal in their clam counts, 10 or 9-9. Both have a power at their disposal, but needing to be able to find the picks to move forward with them. Dale Tofu now in the enemy base. Oh, and that was a fantastic play by the Brella as they're now in the enemy base with their back. Gonna push forward, 3 down on the side of Bash. This could be a huge push for Dale Tofu.
And the Brella was able to shark there for a second and was not detected by the side of Bash, and they were able to really apply a lot of pressure and push up. The leader finding the tent, though, unfortunately getting that pick. We still see that their push is probably going to end here at the 41, and we have a solo by the junior, but now they know that this is their time to back out. An unfortunate jump too, and getting picked off by the E-leader. The E-leader able to find that pick as best as in the best way possible, and unfortunately that junior just not backing up quite enough. But we still see that Bash is now on the respawn. They have 11 clams in their possession, looking to maybe make a ball, but Dale Tofu I don't think is going to make it easy for them. They're able to keep a lot of ink under that basket and able to kind of apply enough pressure that they need in order to keep Bash away.
They certainly are, and after a push like that, Dale Tofu, I'm sure, with the confidence, knowing that they're going to be able to hopefully put something together like that again. But Bash over here, not ready to give up with this power clam, trying to find a way to get out, but goes down, but takes the trade against the splash.
We're still not seeing any points yet on the side of Bash, but you can tell that Bash is really trying to make, see where they can try to break in here, and especially with the E-leader applying some pressure as well. But I feel that they're having some difficulty because they're, the players on Dale Tofu are able to really be more mobile. They have a lot more ink than Bash is able to utilize, unfortunately. So Dale Tofu is definitely able to keep a lot more mobile, and having that 41-point lead too definitely gives them a lot of wiggle room in order to play some defense here.
They sure do, and Bash is going to come out with the tri-strike here, but not enough onto that plat to clear out as Dale Tofu's now going to respond with a crab and a booyah bomb of their own to try to flush out that push. It looks like they're able to get 2 down, 3 down. on the side of Dale Tofu. Now, in the middle, this 10 again is going to be able to find a pick, goes down. And they're kind of just, again, now in this kind of stalemate situation once again, where it's 2-2 and they're playing around middle. Bash here is really going to want to be able to build up their specials and try to coordinate them into a push to be able to force Dale Tofu out so that they can come in with those clams, because they need to get at least a 60-point clam lead here. So we're looking at least 3 power clams.
I'm over here nodding to everything that you're saying. You can't see it, but I'm over here nodding. Oh, that was a nice double pick in the corner there for the side of Bash. There's 2 members now down on the side of Dale Tofu. I feel in these last crucial seconds here going into overtime, this is where the push is going to happen. We see the power clam now coming out, but stepping back because of the booyah. Can they make it in there? The barrier breaks, and we still have that second power clam making it in there down to the 60 point, but unfortunately Bash getting the wipeout, and that I believe is going to end their push for that one, and this game going to Day Old Tofu.
What a fantastic game there. I think really just what you saw there that really set the teams apart was that Dale Tofu was really able to use their specials in a way that forced their opponents completely out of the basket, which I don't think Bash was quite able to replicate, but they put up a great fight nonetheless.
Yeah, it seems Dale Tofu has been doing a really excellent job of utilizing this crab booyah comp that they've got going on. We've seen it a couple times now in a couple of games, and especially it's almost a repeat of the first game. You see that crab booyah bomb happening here, but we're going down into the replay with the last 5 seconds. You can see that the leader is looking for a pick with that try ink strike coming out, trying to get some ink on the field so that they can bust in here. And I didn't realize that Warnock actually had 7 clams at their disposal, just needed that one and was able to make the pop and getting that second power clam in there, but unfortunately just not having quite enough in order to get the basket broken, with Dale Tofu getting that wipe right at the end in overtime.
Yes, I think that Booyah Bomb really saving Day Old Tofu there, and being able to take out 2 members and prevent that second power plan from coming in as fast, so that the other members of Bash weren't really quite able to go back and feed the rest of the push.
Yeah, and again, I think Bash was, struggling with the fact that this tent player was able to play so aggressively, because a lot of times you don't expect that from a tent player. You don't expect them to be pushing up under the basket and like pushing into the front line, and especially really being doing a really good job of kind of fluctuating in between that shield when they needed to, and utilizing it when they needed to. So it definitely made it difficult, I think, for Bash to get like a good rhythm going for themselves. I really think that kind of disrupted them, but also I think the utilization again of that Booyah crab combo, I think, was making it difficult for them to try to find their footing in that one.
It sure was. On top of that, even every time those came out, we saw Vac pushing up with them too, really able to protect that crab, protect their teammates that were behind them. I really think that that's something special there you see out from that 10th player that you're not going to see out of most teams.
Mm-hmm. But this set, folks, is still anybody's set moving into game number 6. We're going to tower control on Flounder Heights, a Splatoon 1 favorite making its way into the 3rd game. Toma, what are your opinions on Flounder Heights?
Flounder Heights, personally, this map I have a hard time finding a weapon that can work on as a backline player. So many ledges, so many walls that people can go up, can flank from. It can make for some really unpredictable plays. I'm wondering if we're going to see that Tent Umbrella come back out, make some crazy flank plays like we saw in Mako Mart.
Giggling to that.
There's so many options for movement in this stage, so many places to hide, to shark, to be able to move around. It's going to be a really back and forth game, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely so much opportunity for making sneaky plays. And so I'm curious to know if we're going to see Bash kind of go back to that triple frontline comp where we had the 2 splatter shots and a splash going on. I'm curious to see if we're going to kind of bring that back onto the table and see if we're going to try to mirror some flanking that was going on, especially like on the Mako Mart game. There was a lot of flanking going on for Day Old Tofu, and they were able to flank at the right time that they needed to in order to displace Bash quite a bit. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see that here, but it's also one of those things that once you get the tower moving and you especially can get it past that first checkpoint into the second checkpoint, I feel like it's really difficult to make a comeback from there.
Of course, with this tower giving special advantage to the team that's currently riding it as well, it can be so easy to let that turn into a snowball. If you get picked off and the opponent team or the opposing team has pushed that in, they're able to just kind of push into your base, get special, and keep your team staggered.
Especially too, like that second checkpoint can turn into such a firefight because it's just such close quarters. So really, like that's a lot of times where your 1v1s can count. We see the Tentabrush being retired for this one, and the Octobrush coming out, but another Octobrush coming out on the side of Bash as well. So we have the Octobrush showdown once again.
We sure do. I think this is... Oh, we're booyahing here. Huh. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It looks like we're going to go back to the lobby for a second. Maybe we got some sort of mess up, whether a weapon or a sub in. So we'll let them get reset and we'll come back into Flounder Heights here in just a minute.
I didn't quite see what happened there. I don't think a player disconnected. I didn't see a player disconnect. So I agree with you. Maybe a sub or maybe like a weapon change of some kind.
It looks like they went into recon mode by accident.
Ooh, oops. Okay, we have to put a big old backspace on that one, folks. We'll do a big old backspace and we'll restart on that one.
We sure will.
Another Splatoon 1 map coming back here into the third game. Toma, what do you think of this map?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of crazy walls and flanks. And okay, we're going to get back into the game for real this time as we're not in recon mode and let both teams get set up, ready to go this time for real.
To your regularly scheduled programming here on LUTI tonight. Again, double Octobrush coming out. Leader still in the game, and we have a double shooter going on with the T-Tech and the Junior happening on the side of Bash. So we got a lot of ink being thrown down on the side of Bash, but we also have the range for Day-Old Tofu, which could make it really difficult for Bash here.
We sure do, and we already see in mid and underneath those grates, we've already got a bit of a firefight going down as Bash is 2 down in the opening. Day-Old Tofu going to be throwing bombs, pressuring here, trying to get more takes. This Brush able to find another pick. These Brushes, I think, are going to have a really fun time here, sharking up these ledges, going around walls, being able to get people and utilize the cover and the space that this map allows them to be able to play to their fullest abilities.
We see the Blaster popping their bubble on the tower there for the protection of the E-Leader and also helping the leader take that second checkpoint there. And it looks like maybe the members of Day-Old Tofu are really kind of sticking together here and actually really abiding their time, honestly. It looked like all 3 members, other than the E-Leader, were sharking and waiting for the respawn of Bash, which I think was a really good play on their part because a lot of times it's better to let the players come to you, and especially when you have the advantage. So we see that tower is almost going to break that third checkpoint with 24 points on the board, which is definitely not a lead to scoff at. That's definitely a great lead for Day-Old Tofu. But now Bash is on the tower, and we're going to see if they are going to make a follow-up.
Fantastic lead there from Day-Old Tofu, really able to utilize their range, as you said, letting the opponents come to them since they had the more range. And Day-Old Tofu is able to take a wipeout here and able to start their push once again. I wonder if we'll see that same kind of play here as they kind of hang back, waiting, because of course Bash here has the shorter range weapons, are going to have to kind of come towards the tower to be able to make a play.
Yeah, and we see that bubble coming back down, and we have the Wavebreaker also coming down, the bubble Wavebreaker combo, and we see Bulkhelp finding the pick on the respawn there from the tower. That was a nice pick and definitely very helpful, but we have 2 members now of Bash on the respawn, with one of them going down, the Ink Strike coming down to try to clear that tower and finding a pick as well. But 2 members of Day-Old Tofu are not going to let them have it, with the Octobrush going down with the trade, and I believe getting a double pick there, but the Blaster is now on the tower. Just quite the firefight happening in front of the spawn of Bash here. Day-Old Tofu's just really fighting for their lives here to keep it, with the Blaster finding a pick and climbing back onto the tower.
They sure do, and we see Day-Old Tofu just hopping in and hopping in and hopping in here. The bubble coming out on the side of Bash, able to protect their teammates from Day-Old Tofu's fire, getting 3 down. Maybe now able to find a push of their own, but the Splash and the Brush in the middle aren't going to let them take it for free, as Dale Tofu gets a pick, 2 picks on the side of Bash. This strike coming out and this Booyah Bomb being held, thrown at the leader. Dale Tofu certainly feeling great about that push there.
Yeah, that was quite the firefight happening at that third checkpoint. And I definitely think Dale Tofu was doing a good job in like staggering their jumps coming back in. Like they got it down to the 3, so not quite the knockout, but they were still able to tick down those points very slowly, even if there was just a struggle to do it. But now we're going to see that Bash is going to move on over to the second checkpoint. We have Try Ink Strike finding a pick there. That was nice. But we have the brush on Dale Tofu making the flank, looking for the pick, but going down, unfortunately, and not taking anybody with them. But we still have that tower on that second checkpoint. We have 2 members of Bash trying to hold it there and trying to keep it into that corner with another member jumping in with Dale Tofu now on the respawn, but also trying to see if they can find some picks. And the Blaster trying to do a good job to find a pick, but unfortunately the brush taking them out. This second checkpoint is such a good point for these brushes in order for them to find picks, and both of them are doing just that.
They sure are. Excellent pressure we're seeing applied by both sides as it looks like they got around just again. And Dale Tofu behind Bash now, getting 3 down. They just need to find that last pick.
Now we have Dale Tofu on the respawn with 58 points for Bash on the board and getting them to the second checkpoint, but unfortunately we have the Crab now with 37 seconds left on the tower, finding a pick, and the tower is just moving along with no checkpoints to break, so there is nothing in Dale Tofu's way from them getting the knockout here. There's no checkpoints to break, and there's no just stagnant time with those checkpoints either. And so Dale Tofu is definitely in a really good spot here to keep taking it. But Bash is still doing a good job in telling them that we're not going to give you the knockout. We're not going to give it to you. It's not going to be easy, and I don't think they're going to get it anyway.
I definitely agree there. Bash has done a great job this entire set, denying the wipeouts and stopping them from just becoming total game losses. Both teams are able to respond with such force here as we see Dale Tofu takes the set to 4-2, but Bash not ready to give up yet.
Yeah, you could see Bash was right at the end there too, with 3 members going down right into overtime, right around the tower. They were all jumping in, trying to get onto this tower. But again, I think Dale Tofu had the patience in this game. They were letting the members of Bash come to them. They weren't trying to rush them, and especially that they knew that they were comfortable in their lead, and they just kind of let them come to them, and they were able to really utilize that. And I think that Bash really kind of fell into that trap here. And we see here on the replay, we have Bash coming in and putting down some ink as much as they can. The Blaster looking for the pick and almost taking the sloshing machine with them, but unfortunately the Blaster going down. And we have the E-leaders in a good spot, waiting for this brush to kind of look for them. They see them there, almost able to get it, and have their brush player come in and actually go for the flank.
They do, and the leader able to find a pick right there. Huge for Dale Tofu, and the brush flanks from behind, as we see time and time again that the brush and the splash were able to provide excellent flanks for Dale Tofu in that game.
Agreed. Which this one's going to take us into the match point. So if Dale Tofu wins this one, then they will be taking the set. But Bash is still in this game. They are still in this game, and there is still plenty of time for them to put some more wins on that board.
Bash is certainly feeling the pressure right now to be able to respond because, of course, being a best-of-9 set, they need to be able to take the win here. They took the win on Rainmaker Undertow, and returning to Rainmaker Sturgeon now, we hopefully will see that they will find a little bit more confidence in going back into a mode that they had won previously in the set.
And I believe that's the same thing that happened too with our Clams games. Dale Tofu taking both of the Clams games as well. And so seeing here now if we're going to find that Bash is going to come back and take this Rainmaker game as well.
We certainly are going to see Sturgeon, one of our returning maps from Splatoon 2. I think we'll see a good time from that leader as it's able to reach all the way across once that spinner is up and having a good sight line across the enemy base. And of course, this block on the left-hand side being a great ability for teams to jump across, get pushes there. I think there's a lot of interesting things we could see here. Enemy snipe being another great position once you've gotten through that first checkpoint to be able to set up and deny the enemy's entry on respawn and be able to hold that Rainmaker pushing further into the opponent's bases. I think we'll see a lot of interesting play out of the back lines and out of the front lines. I think that these spinners give them great ability to, swim up, provide some great flanks, get some picks on the back lines that could be really vital to pushes. I think it's a good map for all parts of their comps.
I would have to agree with you there, and especially I'm thinking of these brushes, I'm thinking of this blaster, the vertical of this map is so good for it, and there's that brush right there. And we have a sloshing machine, and I definitely think the sloshing machine will also benefit from this one, but I do think that shooters tend to sometimes struggle on here just because of how vertical the map is, and especially a shorter range shooter at that. It definitely can struggle reaching those high points, but the Octobrush and the sloshing machine can do such a good job from being on a high point and having that advantage.
They sure can. It looks like a member Dale Tofu trying to drop into the enemy base there, but goes down early on. But the brush comes out, gets a pick on the side of Dale Tofu. Both teams kind of just trading back and forth, hopping around these wave breakers, trying to find space. Right now, neither team really has definitive control over mid quite yet, as both of them want to be able to make some space before they pick up this Rainmaker. It's in such a vulnerable position, of course, that without picks down, if you pick that up and your enemies are still up, you're just going to go down immediately.
And I think it's good that the E-leader is able to kind of push up here and have the Bash is able to provide enough ink for the E-leader to push up and apply a lot more pressure, I think, than they were maybe hoping to this early on. But you have a Crab now on the side of Dale Tofu, applying a lot of pressure on that right side, and you have a Wave Breaker also coming out for the side of Bash. So much ink for Dale Tofu in the middle there, and they are just going to go ahead and take a couple of points onto the board. But unfortunately, going down pretty quickly, Bash was kind of able to shut that down right away, and it looks like we might let the Rainmaker reset here. And like you said, because getting those picks, especially right now, are so crucial in order to gain any sort of footing on this one. And especially if you want to try to get that first checkpoint popped, you definitely need to have as many enemies out of the way as possible.
For sure, and I think we saw the splash on the side of Bash trying to do exactly that, but just kind of got cornered between the two members of Dale Tofu as they were taking out. Another member of Bash going towards the Rainmaker was taken out by a bomb. Both sides, again, here, just going to kind of poke two down on the side of Bash, but they picked up the Rainmaker and they're just going to get shut down by Dale Tofu as we get the wipeout, and this is going to be the big opportunity that these teams have been waiting for. But it looks like they accidentally missed that spinner, maybe thought it was down and were going to swim through it, but fall off the map and reset the Rainmaker. An unfortunate misplay.
Yeah, and you can tell that too. You could see the view on Zion. Zion was just rushing right in front and painting, putting some ground out as quick as they could. But unfortunately, yeah, a misstep on that one and going into the pit of Fight Club and losing the Rainmaker on possession. You hate to see it, and that was definitely could have been a very good push for them. But we see that Dale Tofu, that's not going to deter them from this. They're going to pick it back up. We get so close to that checkpoint, but unfortunately the Crab painting the front part of the pedestal and not allowing them to break that checkpoint. But there's a lot of pressure coming from this brush and finding a trade, but only 3 members down on Dale Tofu with only the Junior remaining, but we still have some jumps coming to mid. The Junior doing a good job, I think, of retreating and able to get their teammates to jump back in. And the brush coming in right away, finding not 1, but 2 picks as soon as they were able to jump back into action. And I believe that this will be a good push for Dale Tofu, finding a 3rd pick.
They sure do. Bash was wanting to reset the Rainmaker there, but that brush having other plans there. Once it reset, they just wiped the enemy team and were able to push forward. Dale Tofu here really going to want to pop this Rainmaker and get the dunk, but with only the splash there, they're not going to quite be able to find the pressure that they need. With the Crab coming out here now, it looks like they will be able to secure this checkpoint. That is a huge thing for Dale Tofu, and they may be able to get pop again here as Bash was down some players, but it doesn't look like Dale Tofu was able to quite get up in time. But this Rainmaker is still sitting here. Could be anybody's game still.
Yeah, this was such a very patient shark by the Octobrush here. Is waiting in that corner, jumping from the Wave Breaker, not trying to break it. They are still able to find a pick. They're going to Zip Caster out, almost getting that 2nd pick, getting it and finding it. Now breaking out of Zipcaster, just kind of waiting for a teammate maybe to pick it up and apply pressure to this machine, and they are going to pick it up and just get a few more points on that board to 38 with 3 members down now on the side of Day Old Tofu. With the brush still in the spawn, still looking for the pick and finding one and getting chased out by the machine and getting a second pick and almost a third pick. This brush is running rampant in the spawn of Bash.
That brush said that they were the only one up, and they did not care that they were going to continue on and pick off members of Bash and provide in jumps for Day Old Tofu. Day Old Tofu only able to extend their lead by a few points there, but taking the Rainmaker down from Bash right now, they need to be able to pick up and make a miracle play right here to get it across the board. Day Old Tofu going to be looking just to get the pick, pushing them back. They need to move forward. They're getting the do not retreat message. Day Old Tofu throwing bombs with this brush coming in. They are able to kill the Rainmaker and take this set.
Oh man, and you could tell, I think, the aggression from the brush in this game, the aggression, the sharking of the brush, I feel gave Day Old Tofu the biggest advantage in this game because the brush was able to wait out that wave breaker. They were able to wait out the members of Bash respawning and almost popping the Rainmaker shield, throwing bombs at the Rainmaker shield to maintain it and keep it smaller and from exploding just for a little bit. And they were really able to stall that clock. They were really able to stall that clock and stall the members of Bash and just take a couple picks just here and there, and members of Bash just could not quite catch them or find them. And I think that, man, that really gave Day Old Tofu like such an advantage. And I think as well, there was a point too where Zion was able to set up their crab at the high point of the map, and Bash was unable to kind of break even into their pit. They were stuck on the ramps. The E-leader was looking for the pick, but unfortunately was unable to escape, and the crab took the E-leader out really quickly. So Day Old Tofu really brought it together in this one for me.
They really were crazy plays from both their Tinderella player and from their Octobrush player across those games. And really, I think after game 4 and 5, really just using that momentum to their advantage and being able to push it to take the set.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, we're going to get ready now for our next set of the night, which is InkSync versus the Grillers. And we'll be tossing it back to Falco here. And we'll see you again later tonight for our third set as well.
All right. Thank you guys so much, Toma and Saf. We really appreciate it. You guys make sure you follow them on Twitter and Twitch. Yeah, we're getting ready for the second set, which is going to be InkSync versus the Griller. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to have all of Aquatic Vanguard, or most of Aquatic Vanguard, here on the mic. It's going to be amazing. We're going to take a few minutes to get these players situated in the lobbies, update a few overlays. But with that, we will be right back. You are watching LUTI Tonight on Splatoon Tourney. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to LUTI tonight. We are getting ready with our second set of the evening. We have InkSync versus the Grillers, and since these teams had to start on time right at the hour, we always love it when that happens, InkSync is currently up 1-0, but we have all of Aquatic Vanguard here on the mic tonight, so OBT, take it away with this set.
All right, Inklings and Octolings, how is it going? We have a very special treat for you tonight on LUTI tonight. It is going to be multiple person commentary from just about everyone on AV, all right? So I'm going to be the ringleader. My name is Obese Tyrese. I'm joined here by Cactus.
Yo, AV Cactu, also known as Kermit the Frog.
And Ike.
What up?
Nito.
Yeah, I think I'm Nito.
And then, hey, on the analyst desk in between rounds, we were going to have Pac, actually.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
All right, so very excited to get into this. I believe we're going to jump right into it. As Falco said, if you missed it, they already had to play game number 1 on Scorched Gorge, going to InkSync, and we're going to head into TC on Museum. Ike, what can you tell me about the stage with TC Museum?
Yep, so you got the Spinny in the mid, and it's going to be super important to clear out the right side before this team start pushing. And let's see if we have a Booyah bomb. No Booyah. Oh, we do have one Booyah, so that, one on each side. That'll be great to clear checkpoints and push the other team back.
Looking at their comp, I see that both sides are going to have a backliner being Jimmy and, of course, Devi on the heavy this time, not on the Hydra. And already have one down. Cactus, what's happening down there?
Well, as we see already, Grillers is taking a very strong head start, getting 3 down already on the side of InkSync, but they're not going to make it easy with those dapples, but they are going to get the pick going down right off the bat, and the Grillers are going to rush taking that tower to try to control their plat as fast as can. They came here knowing that they want to get stuff done.
All right, and they're moving up here. Already cleared that first check. We have Sigurd on the right. All 3 members outside of Devi of the Grillers already up in their base. Sigurd gets a pick. What's going on? Nito, what can they do? What does InkSync need to do to stop this?
Well, I see them going in forward just way too often here. They just lost 3 players. Now they might even lose a little bit more. K's going to get a little aggressive here. Does actually manage to get 2 players down, but now it's going to be all up to Devi. They're on the heavy spotlight. I do believe I saw someone trying to go backwards. That might be something Debbie looks at. It's going for him right now. But it's not enough. God. The Grillers takes it, and they're going to take game 2. Debbie, man, that was actually kind of lucky there. The K was trying to go for the flank there. I don't think it didn't have enough time. Debbie was able to clear that first one and get the Grillers their first win.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. Honestly, didn't even have time to talk about it. That was kind of a snowball on the side of the Grillers. Really just got that opening team fight in one. What else did you see, Pac?
Well, you mentioned that it was a very snowbally game, OBT, and that is probably the best way to describe it. You could tell in the Grillers comp, normally we see Boshin, the support player, playing the supportive shot, but you saw him on the splash. Plus Sigurd's roller, that means they were set up to be aggressive. They were going to come in with that aggression and not let up. And you can see K trying really hard to match that aggression by setting up a flank, but unfortunately, it was just too much for InkSync. So very, very quick win for the Grillers on this tower control match.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the really hard things about this map, personally for me, is that the flank route is so long, and you really kind of have to decide when you're frontlining, do you go for that flank, or do you try to stop the push in front of you? And it's really, really hard to judge that, and I really appreciate Kate going in like that. But hey, we're going to head into game number 3, Undertow Rainmaker. What can they look out for on this map, Ike?
Well, there's obviously the 2 paths that everybody tries to go for. You can go right if you get a quick wipe, or how most people go, they go left. So it'll be interesting to see if the Grillers can kind of control that path in front of the Rainmaker, kind of how they just did with tower control, and just keep their momentum going and pick up another win.
Yeah, pathways are really important, as you kind of said. There's the left side, the definitely more safe side going into the corner. Or I know sometimes Devi on the Grillers likes to favor the right side if the conditions are right. I don't know. What do you think, Cactus? What is your preferred path on this?
Honestly, me personally, the left side is, like I mentioned, is probably the best side, probably the safest side. I mean, although you do have that drop from the very top with the ink rail that most players try to take advantage of, because you do have the crate up right above where the Rainmaker has to go. What a lot of players sometimes seem to forget is you have that nice little wall on the side once you get past that uninkable rectangle that you can paint up and hop on that wall and just hop over the little ledge and just dunk the Rainmaker. So
100% the left is going to be my favorite path, but hey, we've seen weirder things happen. The right is also a great opportunity to try and get points and try to take the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And the right's a little more aggressive. And I kind of see Inksync going for that, honestly, especially Kay on the dapples. I know you didn't really see much of her in the second game, but I would be hard pressed to see her not try to flank. And that's one of the hardest things on this map is watching for flanks. And it's only really, to me, apparent on Rainmaker because you can go left to right, and the objective is split like that. Nina, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see. Sorry, I can definitely see Inksync trying to go for a little bit more aggression there. You saw it with their comps, and looking at their comps right now, it looks like they're going to go for something a little similar. They do swap out, I believe, the dapples for that splash there, which, I mean, that's exactly what you want to go for. And Chili, I played with them back in my Amnesia days, if anyone remembers that. So I know they do a very excellent job with mechanics here. So I think they have lots of room for aggression here, especially with that added range from the 96 gal. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they pull it off here.
As we get into it, Grillers are going to lose Pop, even with Devi shooting at the Rainmaker. And they're going to go 2 down, looking at Boshin, trying to get away here. I guarantee you, Inksync is just trying to get members set up so they can get a push going. And as I say that, 2 of them go down on the side of the Grillers.
Yeah, it looks like Inksync was trying to get numbers before they started their push, and then the Grillers did a good job of coming back in, and now Inksync's 3 down. Some fancy jukes trying to get some points, but yeah, good job on the Grillers at maintaining that defensive positions and not letting Inksync get a big push right off the go.
Yeah, and honestly, they were able to shut that down. Going to get a push started of their own here on the left side. I know we were talking about that. It's just Boshin and Devi up. Can they break the checkpoint here? Ooh, very, very close. What did you see in that fight, Cactus?
Well, the number one thing I loved what I saw, at least Devi do, is have the awareness, because we saw that Booyah Bomb come out, and they were hoping to really catch Devi right there to really just stop that push, but Devi knew what was coming. She knew what was going to happen and backed up just in time to really get that slight lead right before the checkpoint cleared. So they came here to play. They're not here to mess around as they try to hold back Inksync from getting any further.
And as I mentioned earlier, you can already kind of see, I'm 90% sure that was a K going to flank Devi after she dropped the Booyah Bomb. And now we have pretty much a complete reversal. You have lots of special coming out from Inksync, and they're in this left corner trying to see if they can get the first checkpoint. And they don't, unfortunately. Nito, what happened to that? Break it down.
Yeah, okay, I was seeing Jimmy there trying to play like an NFL running back, trying to get... Then they do a really good job of it, too. I just saw Jimmy with the shimmy there like a while ago, but unfortunately they didn't have quite as many people backing him up, and there wasn't... Once there wasn't enough pain in front of him, the Gorillas just did a really good job with pressure on the defensive side there. So great job by them, and unfortunately there just wasn't enough to back Jimmy up, so that ended that push.
In the wise words of Pop Gun and many others, it is all about checkpoints in this game. And as you see, man, Inksync actually going to get the first one, opting to take that right path. I was going to say this is pretty stalled up until this point. But, man, it seems like neither team can get a really 4-man up special push advantage here. Ike, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, we're already 2.5 minutes through this game, and it's pretty back and forth. I think what it's going to come down to here is just who cannot get team wiped. Whichever team gets team wiped, I think is going to end up getting a loss here. So it's going to be important, and now it's just the Charger by themselves. So we'll see if they can stay alive long enough for their team to come back and help.
Yeah, I know you were talking about team wipe, and me just about saw one. Jimmy, the only person up for the side of Inksync, and now Boshin on the Rainmaker going to try to see if they can break this first checkpoint going right. Although we got the machine on not able to break the checkpoint, and with that, Inksync gets to defend their lead. Although, as I say that, they go 3 down. Nito, what do you see?
What I'm seeing right here is that it's proving what I've been seeing so far, and as this is a defensive game. I saw this when I played against UCSD. It all is going to come down to who gets the bigger lead, and that's what the Gorillas are going to be going for to get to 45 remaining. But it's going to be up to who gets the bigger lead. Now that the Gorillas are starting to push up a little bit more, and they're going to be a little bit more aggressive, that's when the Inksync's going to have their biggest struggle here, because even with their defense here, they're going to have to struggle a little bit just to get that lead. So this is a defensive struggle here, and the Gorillas right now with their offensive pushes going, they're going even farther. With their offensive pushes, it's going to cause a lot of trouble for Inksync, I believe.
Cactus, I don't know how we just did that, but Devi somehow takes it all the way from, again, a kind of bad position all the way up to the pedestal. What did you see there, Cactus?
All I'm saying is that InkSync let the Grillers cook. They instantly took huge advantage. They're not letting InkSync get more than 2 players up at a single time trying to get them. And can we just talk about Debbie's fancy footwork there? Running the Rainmaker back and forth, left and right, dodging everything. The squid roll right up to the dunk. Insane by the Grillers here. Holding in that pressure from that push, which is exactly what they need to not only get checkpoint, get the lead back, but also bring it home for a KO.
Absolutely, letting them cook here. Pac, what did you see on this instant replay right before the game ended?
This was amazing movement from Devi and from the rest of the Grillers, applying pressure in Rainmaker, let alone this map. It is the key to winning. And the opening pop from InkSync, that really set the tone for them at the start. And then they were kind of trading blows back and forth, but it was that final push that really locked it in for the Grillers. And just making sure you stay in front of your Rainmaker and applying that pressure is the key. And you were able to see that right there in that match.
Yeah, and just really unfortunate for the side of InkSync because you saw there were 3 people shooting at the Rainmaker, but they just couldn't do it. So again, shout outs to Grillers, really defending Devi and the objective the best that they can. And we are going to head into game number 4. I believe it's going to be zones on Mako. Ike, what can you tell me about this map mode?
Well, I think this is going to be a good one for K to really, show what they got on the dualies. Then I'm curious to see how the backline matchup goes between Jimmy and Devi on the backlines. I think typically people tend to think this map favors E-leaders, which I'm assuming is what they're going to bring out. But I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And again, big thing here is don't get wiped and let the other team get a chance to, lock you out.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a number of short maps, this being one of them, but the absolute Maki clans being the other shortest one. You just can't take that risk of being a full wipe, especially at the level they're playing. Remember, this is Div 4, so, past that lowing alpha level. So they're definitely got their feet under them. They know what they're doing. Nito, what are some things that we can expect from both teams on this map?
That's what I was discussing in the last game. I believe InkSync does a really good job on defense here. Now that they have like a stationary objective, now that it's a zone, I think they can prioritize most of their builds, maybe some of their positioning on defense. And as long as they can get that done, the Grillers have been thriving on offense so far. So if they can get that settled down, if they can kind of control that, that could be their key to success here.
All right, let's get it started. InkSync actually going to run the double bucket Expo machine and a more standard comp coming out from the Grillers. Now, I don't know if those of you at home know this, but Sigurd's actually a roller one trick. They've been that way for a while. Cookie's kind of been a weapon of the month kind of person, and so they're kind of locked into some of their comps with Boshin and Devi being one of the only flexible people. Well, let's get into the match. Cactus, what are you seeing in this first opening push?
Right off the bat, we saw Sigurd on the top left of going in for the side flank and coming off, trying to pay off here with the Grillers getting an early start with the zone cap, trying to keep it still, and they do, making them go 2 down on the side of InkSync as they try to hold it and try to have some form of lockout here a little early to hold in a strong lead for the zone.
Yeah, you saw Boshin there going battle. Junior K going to reslider and get a pick on Boshin. Now we have a fight for mid. We see both sides trying to paint the zone. We're going to think this is Sigurd. Sigurd's going to see if he can cause some chaos here on the left. What are you seeing there, Nito?
Yeah, earlier I saw a bit of a risky move there for InkSync, but it did give him an opportunity to move in. So that's a good job. They capitalized on that. They capitalized on that kind of opening they got from K's little reslider there. So they're going to try to capitalize on it. They might actually get the lead here as both teams go 3 down. Sigurd there is going to be trying to get into a fight with K. K doesn't quite have the range for it. Gonna have to back up just a little bit more, but Giga comes to the rescue and does take a few more points, does extend that lead, and they're doing a great job now actually on the defensive side, which is what we've been seeing so far. So hopefully we can keep this up.
Yeah, absolutely. Balling it very firmly in the court of InkSync. You saw there, team fight going around. Boshin and Devi came to the rush of their partner, not able to save them. And for the last about 30 seconds, I believe the Grillers have been kind of in a stagger, actually. Cactus, what are you seeing?
For sure. That's the thing that InkSync is really trying to capitalize right now, and is getting Grillers in that staggered state, making it very hard for them to come back in and using all of their specials to their advantage to get pick by pick, trying to make it really hard for the Grillers to try to get any solid push in to even try to flip the zone. But just as I'm saying so, the Grillers are able to pull it off, get the zone cap, and quickly try to get out of this penalty. They're trying to flip this around in no time to really force the pressure back onto InkSync.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, these are teams that should know what they're doing theoretically, and I believe both of them do. They weren't able to, get one push KO'd, so good stuff to Grillers for coming back into mid. And right now, it's just kind of a team fight that's ended on the side of the Grillers, going to be able to push up and lock out. Ike, what can you tell me about the lockout on this map?
Yeah, well, you see Devi taking that left side. It's usually a really good spot. Thinking, okay, there we go. Right stack is usually where you put your backlines at. And then you have Sigurd going into the spawn of InkSync trying to cause a bunch of chaos. K is also, you can't see it on the other side of the map, fighting in a 2v1. Looks like they're still alive somehow, so at least contesting zone. And, I mean, hey, as long as you're not KO'd, we've seen it 1,000 times in this map, it's anybody's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say that, unfortunately, not going to be the lead for the Grillers. They're going to have to work through a pretty hefty penalty to even get close to that 2-point advantage you have. And Sigurd, honestly, this game has done a really good job of being the kind of aggressor that you've seen the Splat Rollers do. Saying that as he gets a pick, he's probably going to be heading into mid there. Nino, what else are you seeing?
Right now I'm seeing what InkSync is trying to do best in these last few games, and that's try to retake zone after getting pushed back by the offense, and it looks like the Grills are going to go back at it again as well. I keep seeing this over and over again from InkSync, and it looks like they're struggling just a little bit. And even if they do get into that out of the logout phase and get into the zone, they do struggle a bit with containing it. So I think the Grillers are starting to get their number. They're starting to figure out that, okay, they can do well defensively, but if we try to pressure them a lot on the offensive side, if we try to constantly contest the zone whenever they got it, then we can start inching ourselves closer to that lead, and I think that's what they're starting to do here. They're 2 points away, but they have another opportunity to make something big happen here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I feel like the comp that InkSync is running doesn't lend itself to getting the counter lockout. I mean, if you look at the pushing specials, they pretty much only have Crab and Booyah Bomb, with Rain and Rain and Reef Slider because it's the Blue Daffles. But yeah, that's really important when you're trying to think about this, is you not only have to lock them out, you have to keep people back once you recap the zone. Cactus, what can you tell me about both teams trying to recap right now?
Well, it is a fight to try to get a cap going. And with the Grillers able to finally get 3 down on the side of InkSync, they are about to get out of penalty, and they are about to get their lead here just in time before the specials come out on the side of InkSync to try to contest this zone back. With 3 tick left on, they're going to fight for the map to try to control it, but InkSync is able to flip it over, one going down on each side. They are trying their best on both sides of the team with 15 seconds left, but InkSync is going to go 3 down on full wipeout. The Grillers get the wipeout and the cap. The penalty is counting down, but I don't think InkSync has enough time to come back in with the GG. Booyah coming out. 2 seconds left on the clock. 2 go down. The Grillers take it.
Yeah, great play there from the Grillers. You saw them get lead and then just get a team wipe after that. I just felt like once the Grillers came in and got advantage, InkSync kind of had a hard time finding their footing after that, and it was evident really in the last 30 seconds there. Pac, on the analyst desk, what do you have to say about that last 30 seconds?
Oh my goodness. So all about just Mako Mart in general. Ever since Splatoon 2, you know that this is the map full of flanks and height advantage and a masterclass in understanding the art of the lockout. And that is what you saw in the Grillers in the end, and also for InkSync as well. The great thing about this map is that, you can let the enemy team come to you and have that be part of your lockout strategy. And that's what you saw InkSync do at the very beginning. And that's what helped them get that lead. But balancing that with good lockout positioning is also important, which you also saw from the Grillers as well. And that is how they were able to take that away in a very close game, honestly.
Yeah, that's one cool thing about Splat Zones, especially as you get higher in the LUTI ladder there, is that it's a lot more back and forth. It's a lot less teams getting pushed in one push all the way down to 0, and a lot more back and forth there. I personally really like it because it's just, it's cool. It's inspiring to look up at that team and be like, this is what it could look like when you actually are able to come back from a saga. You are able to re-enter that zone there. And so really good stuff to the Grillers. But again, not out of this yet. I believe this is best of 9, Cactus. Is that right?
That is correct. It is a best of 9, and although the Grillers do have a strong lead, leading by 2 games, it is not over until it's over. Just like how in a match, you never give up until that clock hits 0, till the stripes come across the screen telling you to stop turfing, put your weapons down, don't you dare put one more piece of ink on the ground. InkSync, we've seen it before, they are able to put a lot of pressure on the Grillers, and I think it's safe to say that, even though the Grillers have a strong lead, I wouldn't count InkSync out just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've been talking a lot about the Grillers, but InkSync is definitely a team that can pull it out when it matters. I know they were recent low alpha bracket champs. That's why they're in Div 4, also some of the seeding stuff. But I would not count out InkSync by any stretch of the means. And they honestly did a good job of coming back in there with the specials. I just felt like they never got the true man advantage to really make the full use of that. Hey, we're going to look at our next game, though. This will be game number 5, Brine Water Clams. Now, Ike, you're a backliner player. What do you have to say about this this map right here?
It's all about controlling the ramps. And everyone, you're going to see probably a bunch of specials get thrown up the ramps so you can try and get your push going in. And that basket feels a lot closer than it is in reality. So if you get a team wipe, it's going to take, your team a while to get back down to be in a good position to defend and slow down that push. Looks like we're coming out with an early flank here. We'll see if somebody on the side of the Grillers can make anything of that.
Yeah, you saw already, you talked about it's hard to get in the mid. K is actually on the regular dapples, which means they're going to have access to their beacons there, so that might be able to help. Sigurd went down early in the fight. I didn't see exactly what happened, but now you see the Grillers trying to push all 3 of these members from InkSync in mid. Nina, what are you seeing right now?
Well, I'm taking a look at their comp specifically. I think the Grillers were listening to what you were talking about, Ike. They got a lot of paint back there, so they're definitely looking at paint control, which, again, on the ramp is exactly what you want if you want to make those big time pushes. But InkSync, however, they do have that rain there, so they're able to stall the offense just a little bit, which is exactly what they need. They've been having a little bit of trouble on defense, especially with the Grillers being able to pop off so well, being able to coordinate their pushes. So all good choices there from InkSync. I can't wait to see how this plays out for both teams. And it looks like InkSync's going 1 down. A little fight there a little scuffle there between the roller and the machine, but we'll see how the rest of the game plays out.
Yeah, that's the weird thing with this map. It feels like you have a lot of mid control until people drop left. And right now you're going to see a 2v2. You got Cookie over on the pro, that's the angry face, and I believe Sigurd up on the ramp. Never mind, as I say that, Sigurd goes down here. We're kind of in a little bit of a stalemate. Now, Cactus, what do you think we can do to break this?
Honestly, the biggest thing to break a stalemate like this is specials. You can throw as many of your subs as you want, you can try to get as many picks as you want, but if you really want a good chance at breaking this stalemate and getting into the enemy's plat to break open that basket, is you want to go in with your specials. That's going to spread out the enemy team, and it's going to make it really hard for them to try to come back in when you're separating them out. I mean, with Booyah Bomb, with Crab, with really anything, you name it, you're able to just separate the enemy team and really just force your way in to try to get a push going.
Yeah, you saw Jimmy there wisely backing up there, trying to save the Pity Clan, trying to do his job as the backline of not dying and trying to hold jumps for everything. But it doesn't matter when you have Sigurd trying to come at the throat, going to take down Jimmy and stall the power clam. And now you have full control for the Grillers with a bunch of clams. No specials online for them. Now, Ike, what are you thinking here on this defense? What could the InkSync be doing a little differently right now?
Right now I actually think they're doing a good job at holding this corner, and I think the big thing here is just going to be maintaining that paint control and having some specials online to stop them. Now they go back and get 2 of them down, and it looks like InkSync is going to kind of turn the tables and try to mount a push of their own. So see if they can get maybe a Booyah Bomb or some rain to that hill and see if they can score a power clam.
Yeah, commentator's curse there, but man, you saw Jimmy. Jimmy posted up on the corner there, not a little unlikely for a backliner to do. But now, like I said, man, Sigurd already back in their base. Unfortunate out of ink. I've been there, Sigurd. I know how that feels like. Very, very unfortunate, but doesn't matter though. Griller's going to open the basket. Cactus, what are you seeing?
Honestly, I love the patience that both teams had to try to hold together, but the Grillers are taking that patience they had and putting the pressure on with breaking open that basket, getting 2 down on the side of InkSync, and a bunch of trades happening on their plat. Looks like the push is over for the Grillers, and Devi's just trying to hold mid, try to keep InkSync back from going any further past mid. And here's InkSync trying to watch for any flanks, as we see right now they're not doing, just to make sure there's no players looking around, no one that's going to come from behind, and they're going to try to force their way through mid. Now that the Grillers have a decent sized lead, but Sigurd getting the side pick of the Shark, just like what they were looking for. But unfortunately, Sigurd just coming at the right time when they stopped looking to get that pick going.
Yeah, absolutely tragic there for that member of InkSync because I saw the name right next to him. I was like, there's no way this person sees them. But you know, sometimes one thing I will say is about Sigurd is that he does get a little overzealous there, and I always feel like sometimes he's one of the first people to go down. And look at that, you know, they had advantage right there, but the right back Grillers have no clams and not a lot of special to try to defend this push. But the clam economy kind of is still in the very firm grasp of InkSync. Nina, what are you seeing for this last 45 seconds?
See, I'm starting to notice like a consistent kind of positioning from InkSync there. They're gonna have a wall going on, and I think that's because they're anticipating that Sigurd flank. They know how dangerous Sigurd could be, and oh my goodness, they've gotten wiped out. And it looks like they have enough clams to push in. They have the clams necessary, and they've got the resources they need. They're gonna start making a push again. They get some more clams in there, but again, they're looking for that flank there. They're looking for that they're looking not to give that opening out, but unfortunately, it's just not enough because Sigurd does really well with those pushes, really well with the flanks. Sometimes does get overzealous, but most of the time does a really well job. And it looks like this might be game over. Boshin is sneaking around, trying to get some more points and keep that timer going, and it's just enough for the Grillers to get up 1-4 against InkSync.
Yeah, you saw them, man. Sigurd was really just punching at their spawn there. Good stuff for the Grillers to get a very firm lockout towards the end of the map. It's very, very challenging on Rhinewater to come back when you're that staggered. Not a lot of area to paint for special. A lot of just not a lot of space to work with there. The overall not bad though. Still, really, we're looking for something to get the InkSync people started again. Pac, what'd you see that game?
I think there are little moments of uncertainty for all of us viewers here, just because it seemed like everybody was a little bit at a stalemate at some point in the game, and that's what Rhinewater is all about. It's about pushing that backliner off of the ramp and trying to get special so that we can have mid control. But the player with the most aggression was definitely Sigurd. And the Grillers actually probably could have scored a little bit faster if they moved with him just a little more, but they were still able to take away a very nice lead, not even letting InkSync push.
Yeah. Again, it's sometimes like we were talking about the aggression that doesn't work out for them. You know, sometimes you go the first down, but other times, you know, teams that rely on people like Kay and Sigurd to really kind of just start their offense and get something going with the momentum there. Now, Cactus, as the AV's frontliner, what are you kind of thinking about when you're trying to lead a push like that?
So when you're trying to lead a push like that, the number one you want to do is once you have that lockout that the proper setup, I should say, for the lockout that the Grillers had set is just be annoying. And as we saw, Sigurd was doing an excellent job just holding them back in their spawn, not letting them try to escape and have to really worry about if they drop, they have a player who has an advantage of knowing where they're going to drop, sharking behind that ledge, and just making it impossible for them to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It just kind of being that first line of the wall there. And, you know, once you get a pick string kind of going there, it's really, really easy for the people, especially at this level, to follow up and move forward. Speaking of moving forward, it's going to be a little challenging on our next one, TC Flounder. I know that it's going to be tough because it's kind of going to be battle of the backlines. I can almost guarantee you Devi's going to be on Hydra and Jimmy is probably going to be on that E-leader. Now, Ike being one of those people that flexes the backline, what are some of your favorite spots on Flounder?
Yeah, you obviously have the snipe right by the little ink rail, and then, you know, that's a good spot for defending pushes. You'll see a lot of people now kind of going on the left side of their, trying to watch for the flanks. A lot of backliners sit there. You know, and then if you can get on top of that wall on the cubby when your team is pushing, you can do a lot of damage from there, especially if you have something like an E-leader. And it's going to be big this game for both backliners to come out and do their thing and hold it down for their team. And I think the theme of this game is going to be momentum, kind of like this whole set has been. If InkSync can find a way to snowball their way down to a victory, maybe that things for the set kind of turns into their favor and we can see them, you know, maybe reverse sweep.
Yeah, man. I mean, at that point, that's what they're looking. Because remember, this is the best of 9. They got to win 5 games to do it. So you sometimes when you're down like this, you got to dig down really deep in your body and be like, I know we're down, but we can do this, y'all. Just got to make the correct adjustments. So I'm hoping that's happening on the side of InkSync. If I'm the Grillers going into this, I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep doing what we're doing. Try to get that stagger going and really try to move forward on this. Let's get into the match, though. We're going to be seeing, obviously, no roster changes. It's consistent form on both sides. Let's look at the comps. Wow, Gygus actually is going to be splattling. Jimmy opting to go more frontline on the splash, and a very similar comp coming out from both sides. Nina, what are you seeing for the comps?
Well, for the Grillers, I'm kind of seeing more of the same here. They say have a winning formula here, and that's not exactly something you want to change, especially when you're on the cusp of a set win. For InkSync, I think you're trying to go for something just a little bit more, I think just a little bit more defensive, especially with that heavy splatling. You do have the option of the Wave Breaker there, which is something you want, especially if Sigurd is doing a really excellent job on the flanks here. And speaking of which, there's a lot of flank spots in this map. You can go up the walls. You can go up a long way around the left side into their checkpoints. So they're doing all this with Sigurd in mind, and that's because they do sense the danger there. So I can understand why they're making these types of picks.
Yeah, you saw there, Roller's Dream. I don't know how Sigurd got that, because whenever I do that, I Omega die. But Sigurd just going to walk right up and bop that crab, going to go out for a good trade on the side of the Grillers. And Grillers wasting no time, feeling that momentum, going to move up right into the second check. We have people on both sides trying to move up towards the objective. Cactus, what are you seeing on the fight?
Honestly, it's the pure aggression the Grillers are having. But KO coming in with the flank from behind, but Sigurd trying to come in with the help with it and try to get that pick off. But unfortunately, it's going to be right now in the favor of InkSync to keep that tower from pushing any further. But again, the aggression from the Grillers. Boshin pulling out the crab. We love to see the crab come out, and they're going to try to get this push going even further. But again, the flanks coming out, and the crab again from behind to try to put them in a pinch position. It is a very tight stall right now for this first checkpoint for the Grillers.
Yeah, Cactus, being our resident Splash player, loves the crab. But as we move forward, I mean, honestly, this is kind of any moment that the tower spends on the InkSync side of the map is a good moment for the Grillers, because they already got a decent lead, already got a checkpoint lead. As I say that now, the Grillers kind of playing defense, going to see how InkSync can play their offense here. Ike, what are you seeing so far?
Yeah, the Grillers doing a really good job of keeping the pressure, but right here, oh, very close case, so close. Looks like InkSync kind of has this whole area locked down, so they can withstand the sub and special push from the Grillers, and oh, okay, they picked off that flank there. And 3 down, there's a booyah. Oh yeah, they're gonna clear this. They might actually be able to get this next checkpoint, as that's a wipe.
Yes, it's a wipe, but it was interesting. It was almost like a 1v1. So now it's going to be see who can actually hold off here. And I believe that is going to be lead going to InkSync. InkSync going to be the winner of the 1v1 kind of team fight. Now this got to watch on both sides. Unfortunate for the heavy player, not going to be to stop that. And Nito, what did you see right there?
Oh man, to be honest, I think InkSync got a little, I mean, maybe not a little too overzealous. At that point, you're still trying to play for points, and especially in a cruel game like this, you want to do whatever you can. So I see why they made that move. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out in their favor, so now they're going to be in the same, the Grillers are going to be in the same struggle as InkSync. However, they do have both teams have 2 down now. I'm going to try to get a few jumps in, but this might not be enough because Boshin's in a really tricky spot, in trouble with the dualies, but still able to get at least a trade off there. So still equal on both sides. However, it's still going to be a bit of a struggle as InkSync's trying to get a little, I would say in my opinion, it's just a little too desperate with the defense there. They have to watch their back though. K is going to come in from behind. So Devi sees the danger there, but they're able to take care of that flank and they're able to get to checkpoint 3.
Yeah, unfortunate for the side of InkSync. K going in for the flank, but Devi wisely waiting for it. And now all they have to do is sit on the tower for about another 17 ticks, and this is going to be the set for the Grillers. See if InkSync can get anything stopped. They're not watching the tower, though. Boshin on the tower here, going to be able to sail that in right past the InkSync. And the crab, I think that's going to be game, everybody. Oh, never mind. Cactus, what's happening?
I'm Cactus, guys, and the Grillers just won the game.
Yeah, my mic was muted. I was freaking out too much.
And here's Nito.
My mic was muted. Apologies in advance, but the crab was enough. It was a good stalling point for the Grillers to try to get that push in, even though it got knocked off the tower and they tried to take it back. The Grillers had the perfect team synergy there to knock out 3 players at once, all separate 1v1s happening at the same time for all of them to go down, with Grillers taking that game, making it 5-1. Taking that.
Yes, sorry about that. Happens sometimes. The best was the mic thing, but hey, good stuff to the Grillers. And Pac, what are we seeing on this replay from the analyst desk?
Oh my goodness. So, well, Flounder Heights in general, it's the map for surge sharking and ink sync definitely took full advantage of it. You could see all of the mix-ups from Kay and from Jimmy as well on the splash, just taking positions so that the supports and anchors on the other team are pulled in different directions. And you saw a lot of that, but the crab and the wave breaker is so good for defending against that, and the crab was the key for the Grillers to take that game away. You could see Boshin just sitting there on the tower and just stalling that, and you could tell that both teams kind of had all of those ideas in mind. So both of them were thinking the same, which was awesome for both of them. Well played to both of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I felt like it was a lot closer than the score would indicate there. And, there could have been a lot of stuff going into it. I think some of the external factors, like the Grillers being down 0-2 and LUTI really wanting that win. Maybe the Instinct came in a little too confident with the 2-0. I have no idea. Or honestly, it could be some of their past history. I know Instinct and the Grillers were in the same LUTI bracket way back when. I don't know how that shook up. And I don't know how it was the last time they met at like LAN or something, but it's just interesting. Again, I would definitely go back there and not consider this, complete steamroll on the side of the Grillers. I thought Instinct did a very good job, just not able to clutch it out. And I believe that's going to be it for our part of the match. Falco, am I missing anything?
Oh no, you guys are good. I want you guys to plug yourself though. Well, this is like the most fantastic, elaborate comms that we have had put together. So Aquatic Vanguard, where can we find you guys?
Well, hey, you can find our team Twitter at Aquatic Vanguard, I believe, on Twitter. I am Obese Tyrese. You can find me at Obese Tyrese. Cactus, what about you?
You could find me on Twitter at Glitch Cactus, same on YouTube, and unfortunately, because it was taken on Twitch, you could find me at Glitch Cactus 1 on Twitch.
And Ike, what about you?
At Ike and Ike on everything, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. It's like Mike and Ike, take out the M, shout out to copyright. And yeah, look forward to more commentary.
And I already know Nitos, but what's Nitos?
All right, Nito Splat on Twitter. Actually, no, wait. Nito Unused on Twitter. Nito Splat on Twitch. You can find me in the next set. You'll probably find me in the Wendy's getting some fries. And Puck, where can we find you?
You can find me on twitter.com/Pock with 123 underscores at the end, or twitch.tv/whatthepock.
Well, hey, we have been the Aquatic Vanguard. Thanks for having us. Going to throw this all the way back to Falco. I will see you all later.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, OBT and Aquatic Vanguard. We really appreciate it. Hey, we have one more set that is headed your way tonight. We are going to see Spark Cerulean versus Color Your Melody. This is going to be a Div 9 matchup that is going to be coming up next. And like OBT said, Nito is going to be staying on the mic, and we're going to welcome Toma back in. But we are going to take a quick break and get things situated. So you guys stay tuned. You are watching LUTI Tonight on Splatoon Tourney. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to LUTI. Tonight, we are getting ready for the final set of the evening, a Div 9 matchup between Spark Cerulean versus Color Your Melody. We'd previously seen Aquatic Vanguard on the mic, and we are keeping Nito here on the mic, and joining Nito is Toma. Both of you, take it away with this set.
Yep, I swapped out every single other metamer of Aquatic Vanguard for Toma. Some sources in ESPN are saying this is a bad trade. I think otherwise. You're gonna like what we've got coming up for you. Color Your Melody versus Spark Cerulean. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be Ghost here. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Pleasure to be back on the mic with you. Very excited to see how this matchup goes. Obviously, we're going to see a very different matchup here. Now we just watched the Grillers and Inkseek Div 4 team. We're going to go back a little bit more into the lower levels. Now, more similar to what we saw with Dale Tohu versus Bash. Now, I think that will lend us to a little more diversity in comps, I think. I think we'll see some of these interesting picks come back out, like the Tent Umbrella that we saw earlier tonight. And maybe see a few more other things come out. We're going to start off on a Scorch Gorge. What are your thoughts on this map?
Certainly a map of all time. In fact, I think it's wider than any other map in Splatoon 3, which kind of says something about Splatoon 3 maps. But anyway, no banner here. I'm just gonna say Scorch Gorge is definitely one of the funner maps to play in. I do think Color Your Melody has a Hydra in their weapon pool, so that's definitely gonna be a choice. I feel like it's gonna be a choice they make here. I haven't looked into Spark Cerulean's at comps so far. However, I do know that they have a situation similar to what Splatterlot has, and they have a few teams in that Spark organization, so they do have kind of like a bit of data to back off of. So I can't wait to see what they've got in their sleeves today.
For sure. We're about to, I think, dive into the match here. We'll see what they have in store for us on their comps. On the side of Spark Cerulean, we're going to see a Gluga, a Forge Pro Machine, and Junior, and then we're going to see Splash Double Junior, one of each, and a Ink Brush coming out on the side of Color Your Melody.
That's certainly interesting, but I do know what they're going for there. They want to have as much paint as possible. In a map this big, that's exactly what you want to be going for. So that might be an interesting pick there, but as far as I know, everything else seems relatively normal. I do like the Forge Pro pick there, especially with the Booyah, because now you get a lot more space to work with, a lot more space to shoot, but you also have the Booyah Bomb, in case you need to back things up, anything like that. But it's a nice positioning of the bomb there, right inside of the bubble, right before it pops. Great job, they're able to take 2 down. Spark Cerulean has an opening here, but they do go 1 down, so it's going to put a hamper on their plans.
It sure is, but as you can see right now, this mid is very orange. Even with the 1 down, Spark Cerulean is doing a great job at holding this space, taking another 1 down with a bomb. Color Your Melody 2 down, now wanting to be able to respawn and try to get back in, but Spark Cerulean is pushing into this elbow here, you see, as they're going to try to desperately make a power clam here so that they can throw one in, but they don't quite have the clams yet. It looks like a power clam was just made, going to be coming in, and they got 16 clams ready to dunk. This splash here is going to be setting up, trying to lock out. Booyah Bomb is coming out. I think we're going to see that, like you said, talking about clearing space, getting that splash as it's re-entered, delaying them from being able to stop this push, as all this orange is just under the basket and into Color Your Melody space. Spark Cerulean is able to just hold strong, keeping this push going, gathering more clams, keeping this basket open, but it looks like it's going to close here as they don't quite have enough to keep going with it.
I noticed in the middle of that push, I kind of like what Color Your Melody, actually not, a Spark Cerulean's going on for there. They kind of have someone, they have a designated clam gatherer, and they have 2 people going up on the, going up into the offense. So I like the kind of organization they've got going on there. They know how to effectively use their pushes, effectively use their positioning. So they've got a lot of potential in this match, I say. And as they go into 38 remaining, it's going to be coming down to a neutral battle here. So I can't wait to see how Color Your Melody comes back after this, especially with a promising player in Funny Man, because I did a bit of research on him. I think they have lots of potential to be one of the comp scene's next big low-level front lines, maybe even mid-level. So I think they got something going on here, but they are going to struggle a bit as they do go 1 down to Spark Cerulean and the Booyah Bomb.
They do, and I think you see Spark Cerulean here just managing their clam economy so well. Even after their push, backing up and gathering clams immediately. When Color Your Melody was re-entering, I think there was a situation where we saw like 20 clams to 0 on possession of them on the field. Spark Cerulean really just knowing how to find those clams, gather them up, and get them ready for a push. As Color Your Melody's coming back in, they need to take these spaces, and they need to be able to find those clams and manage that clan economy so that they can make the big push that they're going to need to be able to take this lead back.
I'm noticing from a few of the fights that Gluga did a really good job with the spacing there. You do know, when you acknowledge the amount of space you have, it helps you a lot, especially when you're going up against more aggressive front lines such as the ink brush and the splash on the other team. So good job there by the Gluga, making great use of what they have. But it looks like Spark Cerulean is going to try to come back from this one. They do have one player down on Color Your Melody, so again, it's going to be all up to what Spark Cerulean can do on the offensive side. And it seems like they've been able to do a lot, which has gotten them down to 29 remaining. So I can't wait to see what they got going on here. They do got one player down. However, Color Your Melody is doing a great job with the applying offensive pressure, trying to get some of the picks they need. However, they do get into a tricky situation there in a 2v1, which is going to slow down their offense just a bit more.
It is Color Your Melody really needing to find the right balance of pushing forward and having that offensive pressure, but also playing for their lives so that they don't necessarily feed and lose these clams in mid that they desperately need right now to be able to make a push. As they go down 2 right now, they were able to break the barrier, but with all this orange back underneath the base, it doesn't look like Color Your Melody is going to be able to add anything extra to that clam push.
Yeah, they didn't have much to back that up with. They did have one super clam ready, but they weren't able to use it because Spark Cerulean just does a great job on defense there, and I think that's something we've been seeing consistently so far over this one match. However, they do go one down. Actually, both teams now are going one down. It's still a neutral battle, still trying to see who can get into where. They do have a power clam ready, but they're going to get into overtime, and clams overtime is just not a position you want to be in. It's very dangerous, it's very tricky, and especially with a Cerulean defense like this, it's going to be a lot of trouble just trying to get in. Another Booyah Bomb comes out, 3 down. It's going to be all up to the C Junior, but it might not be enough as they got the push going. They're going to have that power clam ready, and they get it into the basket. They're going to take game 1. Great job from both teams, but Spark Cerulean is going to take the win.
Yes, indeed. Spark Cerulean, they're really just showing that offensive prowess that they were able to have. I agree totally with you what you were talking about, them going forward into the base and having people going back and grabbing clams. Having these dedicated roles can really help in these teams push up and clear space. You have people that are just getting the respawns, taking them down, not letting them back in to take out the push. It can really lead to those giant pushes like you saw them open with.
Right, and that means we're going to move on to Game 2, Museum Dolphins, later up next. But let's take a quick look at what's been going on from Color Your Melody. They do, as you can see, they're trying to get something going here. They try to find an opening here, which is why you'll see them in different positions. They're trying to look for some kind of sneak through, especially this ink brush here. However, they do end up running into that Booyah. Unfortunate move there, but they do try to get a few more picks in. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. But Spark Cerulean doing a great job, just kind of like timing their specials there. They did have 2 Booyah Bombs, which they used very well, and they saw that everyone was kind of gathered in that one little side road there, almost to the side of the middle, the side road on the side of middle, which is just happens to be on the side of the entire map just happens to be on the side of Splatsville. So good call there.
Excellent use and placage of those specials. But we're going to be moving on now to Game 2 on Museum Tower Control. What do you think we'll see coming out from the teams here?
Well, since Museum Dolphins, is also a pretty wide map, I do expect Color Your Melody to probably come up with the same amount of paint. However, I would like to see some kind of backline come out. I do know at least one of them has played Hydra before, so that might be something to look into, especially if you want to shut down Cerulean's offense, because Cerulean has been doing very well. They know that they can play very well defensively, so as long as they can get a big push in, Color Your Melody is going to struggle a lot, and that's what Spark Cerulean is doing with their big time pushes. So I think Sparks really might just be going with the with a similar comp, especially in tower control. I mean, especially in this map, because with that splash wall, you're able to shut down a lot of openings for the other team.
You sure are, and I definitely want to see the back line come out on both sides of this map. Being able to stand on that plat and just shoot down into mid or across the spinner can apply so much pressure and deny your opponent so much space that I really think while the fast aggressive comp works for clams, that they may want to play something that is able to play a little bit safer, play back, and deny space in a map like this.
I would say if you color your melody, I would probably look into something that can puncture their offense. So I saw a Inkbrush player playing earlier. I might consider Octobrush, only because if you want something that can get into their defense very quickly, something can get in there, catch them by surprise, you have the Zipcaster ready, and with that Inkbrush experience already behind you, once you get that element of surprise, you can do very well with it, because the thing about a backline and the thing about most defenses is that once you get behind their field of vision, you could cause a lot of trouble, because mainly when you're a short range weapon like Inkbrush, that's what you want to look for. Just try to get behind them, because that's going to allow you just a lot more time and a lot more room to cause some havoc.
It sure is. I think it's a situation we saw happen a lot in our first set tonight of Dale Tufu versus Bash, where we constantly had those those Octobrushes coming out on both sides, zip casting into the backline and getting really vital, important picks for the team to be able to move forward safely and puncture the defense.
All right, and speaking of these maps, I'm kind of looking at Museum Alpha and Xeno. I feel like this is the one map that hasn't been completely affected by Splatoon 3's map design, thinking of let's make every map as narrow as possible, because Museum Alpha and Xeno still has all those flank routes, and I still think that makes it a favorable map for front lines. But anyway, just getting that out of the way, we're gonna head into Game 3. Spark Cerulean in the Cerulean. Is that actually Cerulean? Can I make that joke? Anyway, color your melody in the purple, magenta, lavender. Yes, actually, probably not lavender, but you know what I mean.
We see the Respawn Punisher Either Scope coming out here, which is definitely going to give Spark Cerulean the kind of range that a team may need on this team. And we see, quite interesting, I think, the choice of running double Splatling coming out from Color Your Melody.
Well, I did kind of say that if you wanted to slow down that offense, you are going to want something that can stay in the backlines and try to put in stops to their offense. But Sparks really does answer with a E-Leader of their own. An E-Leader does a lot better job of getting out those shots than Splatling. So it's going to be interesting to see that backline battle. However, they do get wiped out by Cerulean, so now they're going to get moving. They do have a lot of offensive firepower. They do have the Forge Probe, which is able to shoot a long ways, and they actually have a really aggressive sloshing machine. So great job there, and it looks like they might be cruising into checkpoint 3 without any issues whatsoever.
Yes, with this Forge just sitting back there, watching very carefully and taking out all the opponents coming in, and this E-Leader setup on Spinner, it looks like it may turn into a very quickly dangerous situation for Color Your Melody if they're not able to force them out, and Spark Cerulean does get the KO here.
Oh man, I did see the shot there going for the flank. It was just too little too late. I think if you're going to go for a flank there, you need to do it as soon as they get onto the tower, or even beforehand, because especially when they're that much closer to getting the lead, you don't want to rely on tower momentum or anything to try to put a stop to it. So that's a little bit of a dangerous move there, but Color Your Melody. However, Sparks are really doing a great job on the offensive end, doing a great job applying themselves deep into their base and getting themselves into a position that just kind of puts an end to the kind of defense Color Your Melody is trying to put up.
Exactly what you see here with this machine just up in their base, getting behind their Splatlings, able to get those really key splats onto people to be able to safely escort this tower to the KO.
Yeah, and you'll see there's... Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna
Hi.
say, absolutely excellent play there from Sparks Cerulean.
Yeah, I mean, you just see the E-leader there too, playing a lot more patient, which I think is a kind of thing you're seeing, the kind of differences you're seeing as the set progresses. They're playing a lot more patiently, and they're waiting for Color Your Melody to make the mistake. And that's why Sparks Cerulean has been doing very well on defense so far, because they want to just sit back and say, you know what, you do the rest of the work, and we'll just try to find a mistake, and we'll capitalize on it. And they're doing a great job of capitalizing on things.
Speaking of that defense, here in Undertow Spillway Rainmaker, that is another place where we can see these excellent defenses happening. They bring back out that leader. It has such great places to be able to just sit down, and if you don't move it, it will be able to shut down your Rainmaker pushes. So Color Your Melody, is going to have to come up with a way to move this back line so that they'll be able to safely escort these Rainmakers to the pedestals.
Yeah, and so far I've seen from Color Your Melody's aggressiveness that they want to look for kind of flank spots. They like to look for anywhere where they can try to sneak in a pick or two. And I believe Undertow Spillway is where they're going to find that, because there are a lot of blind spots that you can hit here. As soon as you're on that, especially where you can see right on the screen, if you can hit a blind spot there where you're directly under it, you can cause a lot of trouble and possibly even push them back. There's that flank spot near the right. And so lots of opportunities here for Color Your Melody to finally get their offense going.
There certainly is. And if you're in Color Your Melody, you're certainly feeling the pressure right now to get a point on the board. This is a best of 9 set, so they don't want momentum to slip away from them here. They're going to be really looking forward to trying to take this game off of Sparks Cerulean and letting them know that, hey, we're not out of this set yet.
Absolutely. Especially with Undertow. I mean, especially with Rainmaker, actually. Rainmaker is a very volatile map. I mean, very volatile mode if you have a lot of offense. So I want to see how both teams go, because I've seen Rainmaker matches go both ways. I mean, in the last set, you saw it just kind of be a defensive back and forth for a while. Rainmaker matches, sometimes you'll get one team gets 2 remaining. Think that'll be enough. Other team goes coast to coast, able to take it to the other Rainmaker faster than USPS can ever do. So, who knows? It's a very volatile map, and I think really could be anyone's game. But so far, Cerulean has that offensive power to kind of keep things going.
They sure do, and we'll be getting into this mode now, seeing what each team brings out. On Sparks Cerulean, we see the leader trade off for the scope with the back, bringing out a new Splatana Stamper, which we haven't seen. And on the side of Color Your Melody, we are going to see that trade from the Ink Brush to the Octo Brush, and we're going to see the Heavy returning for the back line.
Oh, I like that Stamper pick right there. Stampers, I think, personally, might be, I wouldn't say one of the most underrated weapons, but certainly one of the most underused, because Stamper does a lot of damage, especially with stuff like Inkback and more backline weapons. And they saw the E-Leader out, but they do get to the checkpoint. Cerulean is able to get to the checkpoint, takes a few points, but it looks like they might even build on this lead just a little bit more. Alex there using a great job with the rolls, able to sneak up there. It's not quite enough, as Nico is able to put a stop on that push.
That was excellent use of all the different types of movement that we have now in Splatoon 3. Really being able to use that momentum that each of them has to be able to get to a position that you may not have gotten able to in previous games, as they try to get the dunk here, but are taken out just in time. But just as you said before, it's not a, getting all the way to pedestal doesn't necessarily mean that you've won the game. So Color Your Melody here is going to want to really make sure that they can take this out of their base and stay alive to try to get the reverse sweep.
Right, and what you need especially now is you need people in front of the Rainmaker. So I think that's what you're trying to do here. Tree is going to try to carve a path, ironically enough, with the name Tree anyway, but ironically enough, they're trying to carve a path. Funny, I think FM just gets a little bit too far for their own good there, ends up costing them a bit more, and they actually go down themselves. So they do, Cerulean is going to go back into the offensive push there, trying to get back into where they were before, because that's where they want to be. If you're Cerulean, the best thing for you to do is to just keep your foot on the gas and keep it right on Color Your Melody's base, because that's going to probably the most pressure. I mean, both mentally and in game, because now you got it in there. Now you're showing your offensive power, and you're going to make them. You might even make them overthink it.
You sure can, and especially in a map like this where it can move so fast after that checkpoint, that this team can really use that momentum to shut down Color Your Melody and maybe kind of psych them out to a point where they're too far back and they're able to get that dunk. But going down to all the bombs right there, Color Your Melody making a good choice, and most of their members staying up, not dropping, to stop the push, not feeding to the push. Sparks Cerulean goes 3 down there, which is going to be a good opportunity for Color Your Melody to get out of their own base here, but they're going to have to watch for these respawns coming back in, as most of the map is still yellow, and they need to paint their way forward and claim turf to be able to move this Rainmaker forward.
Yeah, and just like you said, it's all covered forward, which is why Kokoro pushing it into the spine there is going to be a little bit of a risky play there, because you go left and you still have to paint, and you're still surrounded by all that yellow ink, and they actually get wiped. So it's Sparks Cerulean back at it, and it's gonna finally try to get it done here. But I think Color Your Melody is doing a great job, especially with the bomb pressure here. So they're using those bombs very well. The only problem is that they're trying to get a little bit too aggressive here, but it's not going to be enough. Cerulean takes game 3, and they're doing a great job on the offensive pushes so far. So we're going to see how they respond in game 4.
Cerulean just using great use of their offensive pressure and their specials there. The Zip Caster moving up into the top left, pestering the team, getting some picks, and then the bubble coming out over the podium with the Booyah Bomb protecting it to be able to dunk is the exact answer that they needed to finally get that knockout.
Now, when you're Color Your Melody, you have to be thinking, you're doing a great job on defense. You're doing a great job with the bomb pressure, especially when it comes to those pushes they make. Like it's like you'll see right here, they do a great job with the bombs. I know Kokoro and FM do have those splat bomb options available, and they're using it and they're trying to use it well here. So they do get that bomb pressure, and they do actually manage to get a bomb close enough to the Rainmaker. But apart from that, you just can't get too overzealous with your defense. You can't afford to lose more than you can gain, especially in a situation like this. So I think Color Your Melody is taking notes from the defense here, trying to just adjust, and they do have the sub pressure necessary, I think. But I think as soon as they start applying it and start trying to like reserve themselves a little bit more, they will have that defense complete.
They sure will. And now we're going to move into Mako Mart on Splat Zones, which is definitely a map where they're going to have to figure out how to pierce Sparks Cerulean's offense. Splat Zones, of course, being a stationary stage, Sparks Cerulean kind of has the option of keeping that offensive pressure at a certain distance and not having to like be overzealous in their base, worrying about dealing with spawn armor, losing them kills, or being in risky situations. They're able to play a little bit more safe while playing aggression, and Color Your Melody's gonna have to find those picks if they want to be able to get into zone.
See, I'm thinking Color Your Melody needs to operate a little more on paint pressure, because as you saw earlier, they tried to, I think kind of the biggest display of that was them trying to make a push in towards the spine, but they didn't have the people they needed in front of them painting the path for them. So that might not be as much of a problem just because you have a stationary objective, but even then, you still want to get as much paint control as possible, because you need to, especially in a map like Mako Mart, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for your opponent to drop in, and you can take a big advantage of that. So I want to see Color Your Melody try to use a little bit more paint pressure here, and I think that's what's going to help set them on the path to success here. Just because once they get that paint control, and especially with a stationary objective like zones, or you can do that. That's also a pretty effective defensive maneuver there. I wouldn't recommend it. However, it does happen. So Thank you, netcode. But anyway.
We'll let them reopen that lobby and they'll be back in shortly. I think one big thing here, Color Your Melody needs to make sure not to get discouraged by the 3-0 on the current scoreboard. We've seen in so many sets that go to set 9 that the reverse sweeps can and do happen. And likewise, on Spark Cerulean, you have to make sure not to be too overconfident. Don't remember that Rainmaker game where you were just able to get in and mess up the other team. Don't let that go to your head and start playing sloppily. You need to make sure to still play for your life, get the picks, but don't wipe. You have to keep playing at your best and not underestimate your opponent here. And this is really important, I think, for both teams. Right now, 0-2 in their LUTI sets, as both of them would really like to pick up their first LUTI set win tonight.
Yes, like many competitive games out there, it's all a question of mindset. So, Color Your Melody, I'm sure they're shaking just even at least a bit over the 3-0 right now. But remember that this is a game where anything and everything could go wrong. So I think Color Your Melody has an opportunity to, if they can compose themselves, which, I mean, you saw a little bit of that in an Undertow game. They were just being a little bit too overzealous with their defense. They did a great job with the bombs, but otherwise it was just a little bit too aggressive there and a little bit too risky. So I think as soon as they compose themselves, they're gonna get their momentum going, and I think that's what's gonna get them back into the game. But like the saying says, mind over ink, at least in the Splatoon way.
But now we're mashing through the news as everybody is forced to watch the Splatfest results for those interested. Team Sweet comes out winning the Splatfest, taking the conch shells votes in open categories. Team Sour takes the pro battle territory, and Team Spicy picks up a win in tricolor battle.
Yes, congratulations to Team Spicy for winning the tricolor trophy. Unfortunately, that win is going to go to Team Sweet. So congratulations, Fry, on getting that win there. I will be asking for that autograph very soon. Shiver, you can also get an autograph. It's pretty cool. I'm actually more interested in Big Man's signature. I wonder how Big Man's going to do it. I don't think he has fingers, but
I'm not sure either. I want it to. I'm a Big Man fan, as you may say.
I'm sure we have a lot of Big Man fans in chat. I mean, like, I know... I remember first Splatfest, so I guess, first Splatfest, the premiere anyway. Lots of Big Man fans, and I think honestly, it was more of a question of which idol did you like the most, other than like which Splatfest team, which it honestly kind of struck me as kind of funny, but you know what? I think, did Big Man actually get the win that time? I don't remember.
I don't think so. Well, Big Man got a water win, I think.
All right, well, hey, it's better than nothing. And Fry, I believe all idols have gotten a win by now. So congratulations to every single one of them.
True. Hopefully, we'll be starting up soon now here, getting back into that Mako Mart game, and not DCing the entire lobby.
Yeah, last time I went to Mako Mart, I tried to go check out my groceries, and it turns out there are no squids at the registers. You're telling me there's 12 registers, and there's only 3 people at them. What is this, a Walmart?
It sure seems like it. It seems like Mako Mart has been downgrading its employee staff in favor of self-checkouts. They're expecting me to do all the work and not pay for it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't understand, is that, like, I know I need to scan the thing and the little thingy thing there, but why can't someone do it for me?
So true.
Like, I mean, it's great and all to kind of have, like, the kind of option where where a robot voice is just telling you, please put the item in the bagging area. Yes, I know I need to put my 5 turkeys into the bagging area, but look, I'm gonna get to it. See,
speaking of those employees, I feel bad for whichever employee's gonna have to clean up the mess after this game is over. We're gonna leave a lot of ink all over the floor of Mako Mart.
My favorite part of Splatoon is when the Ink Man said it's inking time and inked all over Mako Mart and infuriated the employees.
Well, somebody's got to clean it all up, don't they?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, Mako Mart, I guess. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of worried. Actually, I'm kind of worried. You know, how many matches go on during a day? Probably too many. But
Somebody doesn't get paid enough to clean it all up. I can tell you that much.
has Mako Mart considered a union yet?
They should. They should. Make sure that all squids are paid equally for their labor and make sure that it is a living pay. But speaking of that, we're getting back into the game now as we're going to be heading into our Splat Zones Mako Mart game for real now.
Look at that, and we are getting started once and probably for at least the next 5 minutes. Sparks Cerulean in the teal, still haven't figured out that color yet, and Color Your Melody in the orange, taking out a Hydra, T-Tech, Splash, and Junior, and Cerulean taking out the Scope, Machine, Junior, and the Splash, Omatic.
And that Scope finds a quick pick first on, and they're going to turn their attention towards the opponent's stack. And we're going to DC once again. We're going to give it just another few minutes for them to figure out what is going on. Maybe switch some hosts so we can figure out
All right, it's
stable
time.
connection for everybody.
It's time to pull out the DC rules. Give me a second, I'll be right back.
They're somewhere in the LUTI server.
All right. DC rules. I'm getting word from Falco. This is totally true, by the way. No one quote me on this. So it looks like Color Your Melody and Sparks Cerulean are now going to head into a steel cage match hosted by the WWE, and it looks like it's gonna be it looks like it's just a standard steel cage match. We're gonna see what goes on here. So very
Somebody's
interesting.
on the Octobrush in a steel cage match, personally.
Yeah, I'm wondering how that happens here. I'm wondering where the venue's going to be too. So I'm wondering. This is a logistical problem here in like Falco's eyes. So I wonder how Falco's going to negotiate this. I wonder what's the steel cage market at right now?
I'm not sure, but it's got to be rather expensive. Man, we're going to be really raking up the bill for this LUTI tonight. Sorry about that, Falco. Hope you got enough in the bank account to cover that.
No, it's all good. I'm here. I figured I might as well hop on too while we've got some time since we're vibing. But apparently they're going to be swapping some hosts here. I think everybody DC'd, but they're going to be they're going to be swapping their hosts just in case there's any issue. So. Again, we'll get right back in this momentarily, but yeah, it's been a crazy weekend. I mean, obviously LUTI in full swing with a lot of these great matchups and a lot of tournaments too. But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. It's a good day, and like you said, we're trying to get back into this match, but yeah. So. I don't really know where I was going with this. I was just making it up. But earlier this week, I think this weekend, we had how many tournaments did we have? Nito, did you look? I think on Twitter we saw that we had 12 tournaments that were happening. Is that right?
I think I know what you're looking at. I do believe it was 12.
There were a lot of tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
I know at least 3. I know from the Ink Up. I know Megalodon.
LUTI. I'm not LUTI.
LUTI's ongoing. LSL, yes, as well. There's a lot going on this weekend in the world of competitive Splatoon. Party Wheel also went on, I believe.
Party Wheel, where I absolutely had all the weapons necessary to play. Please do not ask Aquatic Vanguard how that went for us. Please don't quote me on that too. So don't. I had all the weapons necessary. I'm sorry, Shmeeb. I'm sorry, Party Wheel TOs. Anyway.
No, yeah, there were a lot of tournaments, like you said. Party Wheel. We had Megalodon Cup that happened. We had Little Squid League yesterday, which was very, very exciting. I believe that was the most entries we've had for Little Squid League as well, with upwards of 60 plus teams entering the tournament. So. That's always such a great tournament, always a lot of fun, and a lot of teams who are kind of in this Div 9 area. You know, it's kind of Div 7 with a few exceptions and below who can enter LSL. So It's always fun to see. So yeah, lots of good action. But hey, a lot of these players are kind of getting back into this lobby now, so I will toss this back to you guys.
All right, so I just came back, checking out the steel cage market. So far, one website has it at $3,200. I think if we can get a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe, does Kickstarter even work anymore? Anyway, a Kickstarter or GoFundMe in the chat, I think we can. We might be able to pool enough money for a steel cage match. So I'll let chat decide how that goes.
We'll let chat do it without breaking Falco's bank. Chat, we believe in you. You can raise the money. We got the best chatters out here in LUTI tonight, hanging with us through all of this as we're going to be getting back into it very soon. We appreciate all your patience with us tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being very patient with us as we head into the take 3 of Game 4. As they say, third time's a charm. And we're going to go ahead and get back into the swing of things. Sparks Cerulean in the orange, and Color Your Melody in the blurple. Actually, probably just purple. There's no blue there.
Yeah, so we're going to see them coming back in, running the same comps that we saw before. The Splash, Machine, V Junior, and Scope on the side of Sparks Cerulean. And V Junior, T-Tech, Hydra, and Splash, as we see, almost close to a 2 down, but 1 traded on each side. Color Your Melody now gonna pop this bubble and really try to take zone here if they can, but they go 2 down, and this Booyah Bomb is coming in. This junior player needs to do their best to stay alive, as Sparks Cerulean is going to start their aggressive push forward with all these bombs coming out on the stack and shots from their charger.
Yeah, I think quite frankly that junior is just taking a few more risks than it needs to take because it's trying to keep the right stack, and that's all in good, but once your teammates are respawning, you're taking a risk that you might not want to take. But anyway, Sparks Cerulean is taking a great job at defense there, using a great use of the ink vac there. I think there's a bit of coordination there between the ink vac and the machine, so good job on Cerulean's side. Color Your Melody trying to find an opening here. Unfortunately, isn't enough as they do go 2 down, and the Scope is going to try to look for a second push there, 30 remaining, and that means Blast Ditch effort is in full effect.
They are, and I think that we need to see Color Your Melody play a little bit more patient, but they're going to start running out of time now. They were just dropping a little bit early without their team and just getting picked off by Sparks Cerulean as they show their offensive prowess, and they try to rush the zone here at the last second, but Sparks Cerulean is able to just repaint it with that bubble up and put a stop to Color Your Melody's push, now putting the set into match point at 4-0.
And I bet Sparks Cerulean is feeling very good about themselves, and they should. Doing a great job at defense there. Once again, looking for those mistakes and making sure they know how to capitalize on that. They do a great job with coordination there too. Color Your Melody, I think they have the right idea on some of these retakes here. I believe you might be able to see it here, but there's at one point, especially near the end of the match, where Color Your Melody is trying to make an opening, trying to get some paint down with the Ink Strike. And that's a good start, actually. That's probably how you'd start one of those retakes. However, you just didn't have the kind of help from their teammates they would have liked, because they do have that splash up, and I believe that's it. But it's a good thinking there by Color Your Melody, and I do like seeing what they've got going on there. They just need to. I think this is a problem they've had this whole set. They just need to wait for that teammate support there instead of trying to take the initiative on their own. Splatoon is very big on teamwork, so I believe once they get that down, they'll have all this coordination here is going to help set them apart.
I totally agree. I think that they were trying to make a last-second push because they were running out of time, but their earlier pushes kind of fell apart due to 2 of them just kind of dropping on the right side there and being able to be taken out relatively easily without the rest of their team pushing in. So they weren't able to pop those specials all up, and they were forced to pop them with seconds remaining, even though everybody wasn't back in action yet.
And with that being said, we are going to head into Game 5, Clam Blitz on Brinewater Springs. So far, what I've seen from both teams, I think Sparks Cerulean is going to have... Actually, I think Sparks Cerulean I think Color Your Melody has an opportunity here because you do have a few more flank spots shut down. As right now, you do have that ramp leading up to the basket, and you do have that little zip line, that little ink zip line, I think is what it's called. Don't quote me on that, Nintendo. Anyway, you do have those two flank routes there. Other than that, you do get shut down fairly easily. So I think, like I said, you get that coordination down, you get that kind of like teamwork going. Color Your Melody has an excellent opportunity here to put the stop on Cerulean's momentum and kind of make them think, okay, you know what? Maybe we're doing something wrong here, and that's you kind of get the gears going here.
They sure do, and it's exactly what they need right now, sitting in this 4-0 situation. Color Your Melody really looking to turn things around right now and make the reverse sweep, winning the next 5 games if they want to be able to take this set. Spark Cerulean, of course, feeling great in this position, but needs to not be overconfident and doubt Color Your Melody, or else they may see themselves on the other side of that reverse sweep. We're going to go into the game now. We're going to see the splatter scope coming back out on the side of Spark Cerulean. Going to be a great advantage there with that VAC for pushing in clams. And we're going to see a little bit of a different comp coming out from Color Your Melody, seeing the Ink Brush return, bringing out the Rapid Blaster now, which I actually think is a great pick to help deal with that scope, as it can kind of poke pretty safely from underneath those ledges and force that charger to move. But an so close Spark Cerulean was just going to try to go for a push in there, but went kind of alone, but actually were able to follow it up there, able to get some more ink in, pick up the dropped clam, and start their push. Color Your Melody now on defense, and they need to make sure that they're not going to drop too early and not be too desperate to stop this push that they end up feeding.
Yeah, and I think Color Your Melody is having they're going to have the same issues again here, just kind of a little bit too overzealous with their defense, and that's what Spark Cerulean is able to take advantage of. However, both teams are now going 1 down. Color Your Melody now going 2 down. You do have that bomb pressure, and I want to see them utilize it just a little bit more here, but they also have a lot of paint to work with now, which is, I believe, is what they were aiming for when they made the kind of change to their comp. But Spark Cerulean is able to keep their offense going. Oh, this Machine Sharking Candace Scope spotted. Actually, that's the Rapid Blaster. Can a Rapid Blaster spotted in time? Rapid Blaster having a scope would be pretty weird anyway. This tank's coming out. Oh,
they're not. That machine comes out. What a nice play from Spark Cerulean.
That's why you gotta watch every single patch of ink, because anyone can flank, and I think it's the Sloshers that do it best, especially the Tri-Slosher, which I don't play by chance. I need to mention that every single time I call. Anyway, they do get that push is gonna stall just a little bit, so Color Your Melody has an opportunity to come back here, and I believe they are going to get a little bit of paint on there.
We see a disconnect on the side of Spark Cerulean. It looks like they're going to opt to play it out. I do believe by LUTI DC rules that they're allowed to end a match if it's more than 2 minutes 30 seconds remaining, or if the objective isn't pushed past 30, but maybe that DC earlier they were counting.
Hey chat, just a reminder that steel cage is $3,200, so if anyone has that GoFundMe, let's get to work on that. Anyway, Color Your Melody able to get the clam in, down to 80 points remaining. However, they do equalize the match now. Actually, 2 down now, 3 down. Look at that. The Octobrush is going to have to try.
Even with the DC, Spark Cerulean was able to shut down that push. This Zipcaster is going to get gone on its recall. Now 2 minutes left in the game. Spark Cerulean is going to be fighting at a man-down disadvantage for the rest of the game. It's going to have to play very carefully here so that they don't lose their lead. They obviously can't be too aggressive like they were before, as the aggression with a 3v4 may not work out in their favor. Instead, we may see them opting to play a little bit more of a defensive game now, letting Color Your Melody come towards them so that they can play safely and defend their basket from pushes.
I did a quick look at the LUTI results. They could have replayed that. However, Sparks really has decided they're going to play it out. So they're doing pretty well for a 3v4 here, so I want to see how this plays out. But Color Your Melody is not going to have that offensive option available in the Zipcaster, so I'm wondering to see how they play that out. They do go one down, though. That's going to level the playing field. And Brilliant's going to try to find just another opening here, which, I mean, actually, they don't really have to find an opening either. They're doing a very good job on defense. So even if Color Your Melody finds an opening here, Sparks Aurelian's able to do a great job of shutting that down. So I want to see how that plays out for him, even with one player down. So
They sure are, and Color Your Melody really needs to take advantage of this man-down situation that Sparks Cerulean is in and try to make that push and be a little bit more aggressive, but they die going down to the bombs going in, and the Sparks Cerulean is able to just still hold here, and Color Your Melody isn't quite able to find the way in that they'd like to get here.
yeah, it looks like they're struggling just a little bit. That's the Junior trying to make a move there. However, it's just going to get quickly shut down by the 2v4 there. They're trying to find the options, and I think sometimes they're trying to make the openings available. However, they do, like I've been seeing the whole match, they're risking just a bit too much for their own liking. And they go 3 down now. Our Sparks really does have 1 player down, and I think that's going to be it as the power clamp shuts down. And that's actually, I don't think that's it. The power clamp still has a few to go. Never mind, that's going to be it. And Sparks Cerulean takes this set against Color Your Melody 5-0 to close out week 3.
Sparks Cerulean playing an excellent game there. Even with a man down, they were just able to hold space. They knew that they couldn't be too aggressive, that they couldn't push too far forward with the person down from the DC, knowing that, hey, we've got this lead. We know how Color Your Melody plays. We've seen them for these 4 matches before, so we're going to let them come to us, and we're going to take advantage of that.
All of them Gordon Ramsay because they were cooking. 3v4, and they're still able to get the job done. Great job there, and they absolutely know where the lamp sauce is, so don't even ask them. But Color Your Melody, I think they have lots of potential to get to where they need to be, because I see a lot of I see pieces of what could be potential in defense and potential on offense, because we saw in the Rainmaker Undertow game, they're using that bomb defense, but they feed in a little bit too much. But Clam Blitz on Brinewater, they're able to what was I gonna say here? I kind of forgot, but they do have that kind of an inkling of what they need to do on defense. They have an idea, and I think Color Your Melody, once they start figuring that out, they got the potential to do exactly what they need to do. So
they sure do. Great games here tonight. Congratulations to Sparks Cerulean for taking their first win in LUTI, and we thank you all for joining us here on LUTI tonight. I'm Toma. You can find me at Crest of Gautier on Twitter, or ttoma_ here on twitch.tv. Where can they find you, Nito?
All right, so you can find me on Twitter. That's Nito's Unused. Twitch is Nito Splat. America Online, you might be able to find me there if you still have that 56k modem lying around. And I believe Jed is in chat, so everyone say hi, Jed.
Hi, Jed. Thanks so much again for joining us all here tonight. We're going to pass it back to Falco here to wrap us all up.
All right. Thank you so much, Toma and Nito. I appreciate it. A wonderful set we saw by Sparks Cerulean in Color Your Melody. A little bit of a delay there getting a few things situated, but hey, Sparks Cerulean coming out on top 5-0. That is going to be it for LUTI tonight. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We very, very much appreciate it. Again, we try and cast LUTI sets every weekend and early on in the weekend on this channel, so make sure you guys are following. You guys can follow Splatoon Tourney on Twitch. You can also subscribe to Splatoon Tourney on YouTube. And if you would like to join our Discord to get notified when we have live streams, if you want your set casted, or if you're interested in commentary, feel free to type !Discord to get the link. My name is Falco Flyer. You can find me at Falco Flyer on Twitch and Falco Flyer 11 on Twitter. I am a Splatoon streamer and commentator, and we appreciate you all so very much. As for now, we are going to go raid Squid School. This is a channel that is dedicated to help you learning about Splatoon, hosted by Gem, a wonderful, wonderful community member of the of the Splatoon community and has a ton of great videos on YouTube, so definitely check him out. Make sure you subscribe. But again, we appreciate it. We will be live sometime later next week, thinking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometime Sunday-ish. We don't really know when we're going to go live next, but we will be live with some Week 4 sets that will be coming your way. So make sure you guys follow, get your notifications on, and once again, subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the Discord. As for now, that is going to be it for us tonight. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and take care. Thank you all for watching LUTI tonight on Splatoon Tourney.